That was perfect.
Welcome to another edition of the Screen Chronicles. I'm Colby.
And I'm El Stevo.
And if you're watching this, you probably know what that just was.
You know what we're talking about now.
You know what we're just doing.
If you're tuning in audio, you might be a little bit confused, but you should definitely watch our video then on YouTube.
Yeah. At least the beginning of this one.
It's the beginning, just so you know what we did. We just did the end of the Force Awakens, and then the beginning with the Last Jedi.
And I can't wait to watch it later because I couldn't look at you or I was going to laugh. I had to look like at the green light on my computer to try to keep a straight face.
Oh, it was great. You did perfect. You were like perfectly in sync.
Believe it or not, I've seen that movie a time or two. Believe it or not. I even have the wrist brace on the hand. It's my robotic.
That's your
robotic Luke hand.
Oh my gosh. We did that in the apartment a bunch of times too. Back when we were just excited for Last Jedi.
We would put that soundtrack, because that's a great soundtrack.
Yes.
Force Awakens soundtrack's a great, like the Rey's theme is great, and then that last song at the end of the movie that they do. And we would just put that soundtrack on and then reenact scenes and stuff. And oh yeah, it was great.
But that was great. So we're talking the sequel trilogy today. Yep. Steve and Colby, Steve. We've done the original trilogy, the prequels, and we just saw the Rise of Skywalker recently. We've finished off the whole Skywalker Saga, is what it comes to.
We did. And I am very excited to talk to you about this because we have not talked about.
We haven't talked about it all yet.
I mean, we've talked about episodes 7 and 8 a lot when we lived together. Episode 8 came out when we lived together. And we've had a lot of discussion about that, but now we don't live together. So we haven't really had the chance to talk about Rise of Skywalker too much. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into it a little bit later in the show. And hear your thoughts about the movie, because there is a lot to digest in Rise of Skywalker, which I kind of love and kind of don't like at the same time. But
I agree.
We'll get there.
So before we get into it, let's give our non-spoiler thoughts on each movie. Just a quick little blurb on each one. I'll go first, and then so I would say when I first saw The Force Awakens back in, let me see when it was released here.
I think 2015.
2015. Yeah, you're right. That was pretty awesome.
Yep.
I mean, I remember a lot of people were saying it laid heavy on nostalgia, but I thought it put a lot of new things in, a lot of new Force powers that still seemed to work in the world. And a lot of new characters that were really interesting. And I mean, as soon as it ended, I was ready to sit in the theater and watch it again. Or I was like, I need the next one now.
Yep.
I need the sequel right now.
Yep.
And then The Last Jedi came around, and we were both really pumped for it. And then that one for me, when I was sitting watching it, there was moments I was like, this seems like it's supposed to be really epic, and I'm supposed to love it, but I just wasn't. And then when it ended, I was like, I might have hated that. So and the more time went on, I kind of didn't like it even more. I just watched it again recently.
I thought the opposite would happen.
Well, I just watched it again today, and I was a little better. I was
right. So I found that too.
What's going on?
I found that too, but I think our expectations were so high. And once we start talking a little bit more about Force Awakens, you'll know why those expectations were so high.
Yeah.
And I was with you. I was pretty personally disappointed in The Last Jedi. But
and you were pretty psyched about The Force Awakens, though, too, right?
Yep. So my opinion of Force, I saw Force Awakens 4 times in the theater.
Oh, nice. I think it was 2 or 3.
Loved it. Yeah. Oh my God. This is the first major Star Wars movie to come out since Revenge of the Sith. And so this is like holy moly, I didn't realize this was ever going to happen again. And I had a lot of, I was nervous going into it. I didn't know what it was going to be like, and I was very, very happy with the product. Were there things in the movie I thought they could have done better? Yeah, but I don't think it ruined the movie by any stretch of the imagination. We'll get, like we're going to get into all that. And I think J.J. Abrams did an awesome job. I think he had a clear picture in that movie about where it was going. In my opinion, I think he did. Yes. And then I think something happened during Last Jedi, and the continuity of that to me fell apart a little bit. Last Jedi for me, same thing. At the end of the movie, I was like, did I really just watch a Star Wars movie I didn't like?
Yeah.
And I hadn't been so
was
excited
it a movie
to watch.
You hated or just disappointed in, or what sort of scale would you sort of put it on there to give to people?
I think what happened with me after the movie, when I first watched it, I was kind of really mad because a lot of the questions I wanted answered did not get answered, or were just kind of brushed under the rug. Yes. So I was kind of mad at the movie. I was mad at the director. I was mad at a lot of things. And I might have said I hated it at first. I don't think in the long run, I wouldn't say I hate the movie. I would say, and I think if anything, I like it a little bit better after Rise of Skywalker, a little bit.
I agree.
But I just kind of wish they hadn't gone in the direction they went in. I'd say disappointed, more on the disappointed scale.
I would agree with that, especially now that it's all come to an end. I would just say I was a little disappointed what they set up, and
it still makes me cringe.
Yeah,
it still makes me cringe at some parts of that movie. Some of the plots make me really cringe.
Yeah, and we'll go more into that when we get
there.
So then, what's your little blurb then on Rise of Skywalker? How do you feel about that?
As a lifelong Star Wars fan, I really dug the movie. All right, I really dug the movie. I don't, I've heard some people say it's the best in the Skywalker saga. I don't think so. Without saying too much, also, I think they should have taken everything from Episode 9 and made 2 movies out of it.
Yes.
And I think they could have done. It just wouldn't have felt so rushed. I think it was just the movie felt rushed. I didn't care because I was there as a Star Wars fan, not a movie critic. But I can definitely see why movie critics gave it bad ratings because it was very jumpy.
Yes.
Extremely jumpy.
I would agree with
there was like it was so awesome at times though that I got over all that.
Yeah, there was a lot of big Star Wars moments that I think were really supposed to hit home, and there was a lot of them that I liked, but the fact that it was so rushed and just how the trilogy had sort of turned out as a whole, nothing really hit me heavy, but it wasn't a bad movie at all. Mm-hmm. If you're hearing people say it was a terrible movie, I don't think it was a terrible movie. I don't think really any of the Star Wars movies are terrible. Just the ones that I don't like are just a little bit more disappointing or a little more boring.
I think,
and this one was just capped off the trilogy the best I think they could have with what they had.
I think that's a great way to put it, Steve. I think J.J. Abrams started in a bit of a hole in this movie.
Yeah.
From however the Last Jedi ended, and the things that were said in the Last Jedi.
Yes.
And I think it really seemed to me like he was trying to kind of fix a lot of things, kind of right the wrongs in Rise of Skywalker. And I think, like you said, I think he did the best he could for what he was given.
I don't see what anyone else could have done after Rian Johnson's the Last Jedi. And that's not knocking on it too much. I don't know where they were supposed to go.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea where they were supposed to go.
And I wasn't really psyched for this one. We were both really, really, really psyched for Last Jedi. I mean, I was scared. We were listening to music in the kitchen. We were reenacting the end of The Force Awakens.
We watched the trailer for The Last Jedi. Like, how many times we watched that trailer?
Oh, a day? Man. That came out the night before our cardio palm test. We're PT students, in case you haven't remembered that. But we're PT students, and we just did our foundations test the day before, and we were just mind burnout.
Go and drop the Last Jedi trailer on the night before our final.
And it was a good trailer too. It was a good trailer.
It was a great trailer, dude.
I mean, I was so psyched, and I was disappointed, and you could chalk that up to expectations. I think some of it though was.
I think that had a lot to do with it, though. I think it had a lot to do with it, but I also think it was a a lot of bad ideas.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into some spoiler territory now. So if you haven't seen any of the new movies, especially the Rise of Skywalker, we're gonna get really into the spoiler territory now, and we're gonna try and hit each movie a little bit more in order this time. We're still gonna be, going off on tangents and stuff, so it's not gonna be too organized there, people. But we're gonna try and go through each one. That way we stay on track, because we're both hardcore Star Wars geeks, and
we're
we
really
have
going to try to be organized here.
We have gone
guess
down
what?
so many The Last Jedi, like 3-hour talks to you and I in our apartment.
I'm kind of getting sick of talking about it. But listen, if you're looking for organization here, wrong podcast.
Wrong one.
All right. We're going to try. We're going to do our best to be organized, but we're probably going to jump around a little bit. But let's start at episode 7. And let's start talking about that a little bit. Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
So going into this. Yeah.
So another thing, too, you have to know about this trilogy is, so we've talked before how the original trilogy was created by George Lucas, the great granddaddy, our Lord and Savior of the Star Wars franchise. He created Star Wars. He made the first one, A New Hope. He wrote and directed that one, and then he helped write the next 2, Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. And then years later, when he made the prequels, he wrote and directed all 3 of those. And then I think 2000-ish, 12 or something, he ended up selling to Disney. So Disney has been making all the new Star Wars stuff. And the first one they did was The Force Awakens. So I was a little nervous for this one coming out. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was definitely skeptical of what they were going to do with Star Wars. I did not expect to like The Force Awakens as much as I did.
I was really worried. I was very skeptical going in. But like I said, by the time it was over, and she's standing there with Luke at the end, I was like, give me more.
Yes.
I just had this. I was like, this has the most potential, because if you look at the first movie from the other trilogies, Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, I like Star Wars: The Force Awakens. To me, crushes them both. Other than Duel of the Fates at the end of Phantom Menace, I thought this movie had the best
to set up a trilogy.
Yes, and it had so much going for it.
Yeah,
it's it opens. It had a lot of nostalgia. A lot of people critique it for that. How do you feel about that?
It did. I mean, it's obvious the what it took from like A New Hope and stuff. I mean, there's no doubt. But I didn't care. It was also different in a lot of ways, and it was just a fun movie, and it set up. I think one of its strengths is the characters it introduced.
Yes.
So, you meet this girl, Rey, this mysterious girl who like has some force powers. And I like how in the movie they make people seem like they kind of know who she is or something.
They definitely set up that she has some sort of heritage, some sort of parental line. They at least make you think that.
I mean, the examples, the first example I can think of is when Kylo Ren, one of his guys, comes up to him and he says, he says the droids got away with a girl. The droid got away with a girl. And he's like, which girl? Or what girl? As if, but it was in a way, it was like, I mean, why does he care? Why does it sound like he's like worried about that girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another one is like,
because she showed like she had some force powers when he was interrogating her.
That's before that. That's before he even met Rey. Yeah. Oh. And then Han Solo looked at her funny. Maz Kanata was like, put her glasses on and was like, or no, she did that to Finn, didn't she?
I think, I don't know, but she definitely said something about
she
Rey,
says to Han, she's like, who's the girl? As if like everybody knows she's somebody important.
She had some sort of special thing that they were hinting at.
Yeah.
And they were really trying to, I think. So Rey was this scavenger set up in the movie. She was living on a dirt planet, a sand planet, selling parts and living off of barely anything. And so then she always felt like she didn't belong or she wasn't important. So I think they were really trying to set up in that movie, like, you come from someone important, and someone, is, your father, your grandfather is someone important. And it was really mysterious. And
Yeah.
I wanted to know so bad. I was like, who is she? Whose offspring is she?
Yeah, so that was exciting. And that set up, in the couple of years following the movie, so much discussion in the Star Wars community. You had the fan theories, you had everything. And then we'll get into what happened in Last Jedi a little bit later.
Yeah.
So Rey was a very strong character, in my opinion, in the whole trilogy. They introduced Poe Dameron, which is a pretty cool kind of, I'd say he's the Han Solo role.
Yeah.
Oscar
Isaac,
a great actor, by the way.
Amazing actor.
Yeah.
He kills it in anything he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He has the energy and everything, and man,
he's got some. Yeah, his comedy in it is good.
Yeah,
I think of the first time. So by the way, the opening scene of the movie, when those stormtroopers go into the village, and Poe is there getting the map to Skywalker, right? That's what the map to Skywalker,
the map
with
to Skywalker and BB-8,
and Kylo Ren and his troops come down to this planet, and the way Kylo Ren walks off the ship is like, oh my God, this is awesome. He looks sweet.
Stormtroopers look sweet too,
and they weren't missing. So that was awesome. And then this opening scene is just brings in all. Yeah, we'll get to that. But it brings in this aspect that has never been really thought of in the Star Wars universe before, like a stormtrooper who doesn't really like what's going on. It's interesting. Like all the other stormtroopers, seems like their like brains are hardwired to just do whatever they're told. Mm-hmm. But then we see this one guy looking around and scared and like refuses to pull the trigger. And it's like, wow, that's interesting. So anyway, we realize how the potential of how cool Kylo Ren could be very early when he does one of the coolest things. I mean, we've seen blasters be stopped before, but Darth Vader stops it with his hand. That was kind of cool. That's cool. But what Kylo Ren did was just crazy. So here's Kylo Ren. He just killed, who was the old guy there? He was somebody, he wasn't a major character from before, but we've looked this up before.
Yeah, I forget, but there was, we'll get into one of the problems though about this trilogy too, is there's a lot of characters that you don't know who, and there's a lot of different plot points that feel like they were just added in to create, little books and comic books and other things for them to spin off of instead of just explaining it in the movie that you're watching, Right. So I don't know who the heck this guy is.
Yeah, anyway, Kylo Ren chops him down. He was holding the Skywalker plans. He was like important to the Resistance and the New Republic. And so here comes Poe Dameron looking at an opportunity to take out Kylo Ren, a known leader of the First Order, who is the new empire of the sequel movies. Yeah. And Kylo Ren instinctively, as soon as Poe pulls that trigger, turns and force freezes the laser blast in the air.
And Poe.
And it freezes Poe, which is such a cool power. And he has his men go get Poe, and then Poe, where I was talking about before, does this like funny, like there's like an awkward pause, and he's like, all right. And like Kylo Ren's down, like giving him a stare through his mask
on,
and he's like, all right, who talks first? Me talk first? You talk first. Poe Dameron's just like not afraid at all, just like joking around. Yeah. And meanwhile, that laser beam, still in the air. Kylo Ren just like holding it there. He's like, just chill over there, laser beam. I'm gonna talk to this guy right now. You just hang on, all right?
You wait.
Anyway. So that's just the opening of the movie, and already I feel like that I'm in. You've introduced this cool looking guy who we've seen like in the trailers. Kylo Ren looks pretty sweet with his mask on, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he's looks the coolest in The Force Awakens too. He's also, I'm a big Star Wars video game fan, and if anyone's ever played Knights of the Old Republic, he's like a direct ripoff though of Darth Revan from the game. This ancient Sith Lord has the same mask and like kind of robe and hood setup.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on.
He still looks sweet.
He looks sweet, and I'm gonna go on a little tangent here.
Yeah, go ahead.
A little bit. So if they ever do a Knights of the Old Republic movie, they need to get Henry Cavill to play Revan, because I just watched the first episode of The Witcher, and he had the coolest sword fight choreography I'd ever seen in my life, and they need to go ahead and have him in that movie.
And he's so passionate too.
He is. So anyway, so it's a total sidetrack, but I just had that thought when I was watching it. It's like, man, I wish, like, he looks like a Jedi. He looks like he's fighting like a Jedi right now.
He needs to be in some sort of Star Wars movie with the
probably
sword
too
skills
big.
he has.
They probably won't do it because he's too big.
There should be Jedi, some Jedi should be big, or he could be a Sith,
No. I mean, he's too big of an actor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, he could be sweet. That fight scene in the first episode of The Witcher that he does is the coolest sword fight, or dare I say, lightsaber fight, possibly, of one guy doing the choreography that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going that far. Going that far. You saw it too. Right.
Yes,
I texted you like as soon as I saw it.
Oh yeah, I told you to watch it. I was like, this.
Yeah, you did.
The best sword fight. I was a big The Witcher 3 video game fan, and then so I was really excited for when this was coming out, and Henry Cavill being he was also a big fan of the video game, the books. So he wanted to play this, and he got it, and he's killing it so far. I'm only episode 3.
Yeah, same. But
he's so good.
I would just say let's cast him as Revan if we go back and do an old Knights of the Old Republic movie at some point. Anyway, let's get back to where we're talking. We're talking Kylo Ren. How sweet Kylo Ren looked at the beginning and throughout most of Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
We have a sweet opening scene. We see like this First Order means business, and we get another cute little BB-8 droid. Another cute droid that we're gonna love.
Yeah. So these we've already seen then all these new characters, and then they bring back Han Solo and Chewie, and I think they do them great justice.
Oh, their intro into the movie is awesome. So first of all, the way the Millennium Falcon is introduced is awesome.
Oh yeah.
So the character, that Stormtrooper, another awesome character, at least in Force Awakens, I thought he was awesome, was Finn. He's that Stormtrooper who was conflicted about what he was ordered to do, and he wants to escape. He basically lets Poe Dameron out, and Poe Dameron is an awesome pilot, and they escape. Cool to see like somebody from the New Republic, or the opposite side of like the Empire or the First Order, getting a TIE fighter. And he's like, oh, this thing moves, it's cool. And the scene where they're escaping is awesome, because Poe's like, all right, take that gun and come on, shoot those cannons. And I don't think Finn has really ever done it before, but he does, and he gets him, and he gets so pumped. And he's like, whoa, yeah. And Poe gets pumped too, and it's just like, it's so cool, man.
It was such a sweet bro moment they had.
It's such a good. Oh, that's a good.
Poe's such a good dude. Finn's. Yeah. It seems like Finn's never had anyone be nice to him before, and then Poe's just like, man, what am I calling you? And he's like, FN21. He's like, I'm calling you Finn. He's like, Finn, I like that. And they're just like they're best buds already.
Best
and
buds.
You're like, and it seemed natural. And it was awesome, and you're just like, man, those two are great. I want to see it. I want to see them in their own movie.
Yeah. And then they crash onto Jakku, this new planet that kind of looks like Tatooine, but
another sand planet, please.
Sand planet, yeah. So crash on there. They make us think Poe died because they leave he can't be found, and his jacket's there. So what do you think just happened? He just like what? He probably just. Because I think like Finn was like ejected kind of far away from the crash site, and then he probably just like got up. He probably just like he was thrown out or something too, and
he probably just flew away, like Superman.
Yeah, and that's how cool Poe is. So anyway, they go. Finn finds this robot because he heard that Poe was looking for this robot. So he finds BB-8, And then he also finds Rey.
Yeah, BB-8's with Rey then, yeah.
And BB-8's like, that dude's wearing my master's jacket, Poe's jacket, because Finn took the jacket. And then they have a whole little chase scene there. Rey shows how cool she is, whacks him down with her awesome staff. And then the First Order is starting to come in, so they need to make an escape. And the way they introduced the Millennium Falcon, I loved. I had a huge smile on my face. They're running. They're running toward the ship that's probably farthest away in like the little hangar yard, whatever. And Finn's like, "Why not that one? It's closer." And they don't show it, but Rey's just like, "That's garbage."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's garbage. And then
it's garbage.
And then the ship they're running to, they show it get blown up, and then she's just like, "The garbage will do." They pan, and it's the Millennium Falcon.
Oh man! And I don't even care that it's nostalgia. We all love it, so show us it. And it was so nice to see it again.
I don't care. It looks like it hadn't been touched in years.
Yeah,
looks like it's kind of cool. Han Solo lost in at some point, and yeah, like there it is all of a sudden, and it is a piece of junk. Nobody cares about it anymore.
Oh, they were calling it a piece of junk in the original movies.
Yeah, they were.
It's hunk of junk, and they were always trying to fix it. They were always getting stuck in some situation because they had to fix it. So I mean, it's a little trashy. Well, when we saw in Solo, it's because Han Solo, after he won it from Lando, and he drove it through. What's it called?
The Kessel Run.
The Kessel. He drove it. The Kessel Run. He did the Kessel Run, and he broke it up, and they ejected the thing, and he wrecked it. So it's been roughed up.
It's been through
Millennium
a lot.
Falcon.
It's been through a lot, but it's like still the best. It's like the ship I trust the most.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so it was really cool, like to see the Millennium Falcon again. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then they get on it. They have an awesome like chase down with the TIE fighters.
Oh yeah, it was a great flying scene.
Shows how good Rey is as a pilot, just instinctively.
Mm-hmm. Very reminiscent of how Luke is with the Force and
Anakin
and becoming how naturally good they were at piloting, ships or pod racing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a blast. And
then shortly after that, they're all of a sudden captured by some big ship, and we think, and they say, "Oh, it's the First Order. Let's hide under the ship." And we just hear these clunks. And who comes in, Steve? That's right.
And Chewie.
Old Han Solo and Chewbacca, dude. I wasn't expecting them to come in at that point. I was just like, oh, that's awesome.
I wasn't expecting them to be in the movie as much as they were.
Yeah, they were main characters in this movie. Yeah,
they were. Yeah, Han Solo and Chewie were main characters. And I think they had more screen time than anyone else from the original trilogy.
I don't know. Did they have more than Luke Skywalker in this one?
I don't know. I mean,
did they have more than Luke Skywalker in Force Awakens? Because
I don't know. Because oh, you mean from the Force Awakens?
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Let me think. I think Luke might have had more lines in the Force Awakens.
Yeah. If you count the amount of times we watched the ending scene,
that adds up
to perfect our acting. Yeah. So they came in. That was a nostalgia blast. That was awesome and satisfying.
And the thing is, people complain about the nostalgia bait of the movie or whatever, but I mean, it's a sequel to the original trilogy, so they have to bring in these elements.
You have the and listen,
they have to.
Awesome opportunity. You have this awesome opportunity because you're setting the movie like exactly 30 years after Episode 6 was filmed.
Yeah,
and then so in the Star Wars universe, it's 30 years after. So you have you still have the characters. They're older. They're willing to do the movies. Yeah, use them.
Better use them. You better use them.
Use them better than you did. So we'll get to that. Sorry, but. We'll get to that. I like how they used Han Solo.
Yeah,
I thought Han Solo was good.
He was funny in this. He was Han Solo all the way.
Yeah.
I like when him and Finn are together, and Finn's like, well, how are we gonna get in there? And he's like, I thought we would just use the Force. And Han's like, that's not how the Force works.
Yeah, later on, yeah.
And then Chewie growls, and he's on something, and Han's like, how are you cold? Or something.
Yeah, he's super funny.
You're
Super
cold?
Funny. Yeah.
The banter they had, Chewie's blaster knocking dudes back, his
You're
bowcaster.
telling me all the years they've been together, Han's not just like picked that thing up and tried to shoot something.
It was great though to see. He's
just like,
give me that.
He's like, whoa. And he's just using it the rest of the movie. Oh, so I don't know if we've mentioned this to each other before. When those gangsters board the ship, did you see who one of the leader gangsters was that talks to Han Solo? Young Oda from The Last Kingdom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We did. I sent you a snap, I think. When I was rewatching it.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So a character from season 1 of The Last Kingdom, which we're going to have a lot of future episodes on because it's Steve and my favorite show. Right? It's
definitely our favorite
show.
Yeah,
okay. It's definitely my favorite show. I just want to make
sure. We'll see how The Witcher
that
ends up. But
The Witcher hasn't replaced it for you because The Witcher's pretty awesome.
The Witcher's pretty awesome. The Last Kingdom will still hold that a top place though, regardless.
Yeah. So, so it was the first time we saw that guy in something else.
Yeah,
he played this guy you just hate in the Last Kingdom.
Yeah,
and he plays pretty much the same character in Star Wars in his short Star Wars career.
He was a lot more Scottish in this though. He had a very thick Scottish accent.
Oh, that's true.
Solo.
Yeah. So anyway, it was cool. It was like, oh, that was a funny scene too.
Yeah, we wouldn't have known
that
if
we
we watched
time?
Last Kingdom.
Yeah, that whole.
What was the second time? Oh, remember. Classic like Han Solo situation.
Talk my way out of it. Yes, I do. Every time. It's their banter. You're right. Their banter was fantastic the whole movie. Maybe better than it was in the original trilogy.
I honestly agree with that too. I was like, this is like even better than what we saw. I mean, when I watched the original trilogy again, it was great seeing them interact. And there's moments where like Han will just start petting Chewie or something, and you don't even notice it unless you're watching them. But I think their banner was way better in this one, honestly, than even the other ones.
Here's a thought, dude.
Yeah.
So we know like that Han and Leia got together in episode 6. They went and had a family. And then what happened with Chewie?
He was there.
Chewie? You think he was just they had a room for him?
Heck yeah. He was hanging out. They had a little room for Chewie.
You think so? You don't think they made him get in his own apartment?
Are you going to tell me differently? Have you found something?
I haven't found anything.
No, man. He was chilling with them, man.
Well,
why? What do you think?
I just hope so. I just hope they were. I just hope that Chewie and Han were inseparable their whole lives.
I think the banter they have in this just shows that they've been together even longer.
Yeah.
And
no, for sure.
Chewie was I'm just like looking at Ben like, that kid's gonna be an evil dick, right?
Yeah. He probably said it to him, and he's like, "That's my son. Don't say that."
You don't.
I'll talk him out of it. Talk him out of it every time, except in this movie, he couldn't talk him out of it this time.
He did not.
So, where were we?
Were you surprised? Big spoiler here. Remember, we warned you. We're getting into spoilers.
Yeah. Jumping toward the end of the movie here.
Were you surprised when Kylo Ren killed Han? Han?
I feel like I'm trying to put myself back into when I watched it. I don't know if I was. I feel like I expected someone like that to die, and so I think when he died, I think I like saw it. I knew somebody was going to die, but I still had like a very emotional kind of reaction, like no, like holy moly, like his son killed him, like that. I think I was like surprised in that way, but I think I expected him or somebody to die from the original trilogy.
I was not expecting him to die especially in this movie, but as soon as like he started walking out onto that like walkway with Kylo Ren, and all of a sudden like it starts getting a little bit darker.
Yeah,
I was like, and like there was no music playing. I was like, don't kill Han. Please don't kill Han. Please don't do it. He's even more awesome now than he was before. And oh man, that scene where he's like, I know what I have to do. Can you help me? And he's like, anything, son.
If I'm strong enough to do it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it. And just stabs him through. And then Chewie's scream after that, just like sent like chills after he dies. And then he just shoots Kylo Ren.
It's like Chewie's only family, dude.
Oh my god, that's
Luke and Last Jedi didn't give him a hug.
Nope.
You know, I noticed that too in Force Awakens. I noticed this. Like they get back from the planet where Han died.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but like Chewie and Leia just kind of walk past each other.
I didn't notice it the first time I watched it in theater.
I didn't either
because I was like overwhelmed by everything else and just curious where things were going. But then when I rewatched it and I knew that scene was happening, and then when they got back, I was like, they didn't even hug Chewie.
Like I feel like Leia would be the first person he'd go to for like comfort.
Yeah.
So that was weird. I thought, and she went right to Rey. I was like,
you've known him for a whole day and a half. Isn't he great?
They should have just had a quick scene, where Leia like hugs Chewie, and then she like turns and goes to Rey after that.
Yeah, they definitely should have done that.
JJ, I'm sorry, man. I liked Force Awakens, but you should have done that.
That's one thing you dropped the ball on for sure. I mean, from what I heard too, is Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi, but they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't because, like I said, I love that their happy ending. And then so Han Solo's death is it was really cool for this trilogy and for Kylo Ren's character, I think. But I really didn't like that. Now they completely eliminated, the original group, the core members, if you will, of the Star Wars, family to get back together. Luke, Han, Chewie, Leia, Lando. I would have just loved to seen one scene where they're all together. I don't care if they're old as hell. I wanted to see them all together, just tearing up some stormtroopers.
That would have been great.
Just bickering with each other, Leia straightening the boys out. You know what I mean?
That would have been great.
Oh man.
Now,
so how do you feel? Did that make you mad then, or sorry, what are you saying?
That didn't happen. I think what makes me mad, or makes me a little bit sad, is that like, Episode 6 happened and everything was happy. Leia and Han were together. It just makes me sad that they kind of drifted apart.
And that another
makes me sad that Luke
started again.
Apart. Yeah, and like that everything they had fought for is kind of falling apart. And that I mean, it looks like they established the New Republic that was established. Looked like it was pretty awesome, and it looked like it was doing good things. And then you have this like the First Order rising up, and then they blow up like 6 planets at a time. It's a big boo boo. So that's what this movie did, by the way. They took the Death Star and they were like, how could we make this bigger and better? Which seems like they try to do like every movie.
Better. And
so they made a planet that was also like the Death Star that absorbed the energy from like a star or their sun, right?
Yeah, a star.
It's just cool. I like that concept. And then they use that energy to shoot a crazy powerful laser beam. And they shot I think there's like 6, I counted, 5 or 6 at the same time. And it like blew up like all those Republic planets at the exact same time. That was crazy.
That's another complaint I have with this trilogy as a whole, was just their reliance on like quoting the Death Star as like even in the Last Jedi, which is supposed to be, let the past die, kill it if you have to. They bring down this thing to open the door, and it's like it's a miniature Death Star technology. It's like, why does it have to be that? Why can't it just be a powerful laser? It's not. A Death Star is a big.
Guys, you guys blown up 3 Death Stars at this point. You even afraid of that now? The Death Star is the Empire's Achilles heel right now, or the First Order's.
Not another Death Star, where we have to shoot one thing.
Yeah, but blows up 6 planets at a time. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, man, that's
pretty crazy though.
Again, like they think that's the only stakes that we know is like a serious thing for the galaxy is planets. You know what I mean? It's just like what, but like if your point is you're trying to rule everyone and you're blowing up majority of it, how's it going to work? I just like the in the original trilogy, the Death Star was supposed to be like kind of like a deterrent, is what I think. And I think that Alderaan, was supposed to just be sort of an example. Plus, it housed like a lot of rebel supporters.
Yeah.
So
I think it was one of the main rebel like supporting.
Yeah. So blowing it up, made sense. It showed that this thing is serious, and then that when they were going to
you sound like an Empire.
and then when they were going to Yavin to blow it up, that made sense too because it was a rebel base. But like in Return of the Jedi, though, they weren't aiming it at another planet. Though they were just using it to fight off the rest of the rebels, and I think it was just another thing for them to control the galaxy with.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's just it's all their Death Star technology is used often and frequently, and to just like now we lost a planet in the original Star Wars. We lost Alderaan. We lost 6 planets when Starkiller Base went off, and then in Rise of Skywalker, that Death Star technology on Star Destroyers, they blew up at least one planet.
That's one of my complaints.
8 planets.
That's one of my complaints about Rise of Skywalker that we're going to get to, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what an awesome backup plan the Emperor Palpatine had. I'm not sure why he didn't start with that. Anyway.
That should have been his original trilogy plan.
Yeah. So anyway.
But anyway, then
Force Awakens.
We
talked about earlier. Did you want to finish your thoughts? Do you have anything else to say?
Oh, no.
Sorry.
I was just going to say another thing I love too, that the Force Awakens did. A lot of people rag on Kylo Ren. I remember a lot of people back in school, they were saying, oh, Kylo Ren, he seems like a wimpy bad guy and stuff. But I thought he was tough, badass. And when he got shot by Chewie's blaster, that was throwing everyone else around, he's still moving around. And then when he was going to fight Finn in the snow forest, he starts pounding on his his wound to like get the dark side forces flowing. And I was like, that is so sick.
So let's break it down a little bit here.
Go ahead.
About that part. Okay. First of all, Kylo Ren's a super cool character in my opinion because he's not pure bad guy. He's very conflicted. He's got mommy daddy issues and stuff. But,
another thing too, I'll let you go on, is one of the things that this movie too I really liked how they did with the Force is how he was saying he was tempted by the light, and we've never heard that before in any other movie.
It's always been the opposite.
We've always heard tempting of the dark. We've never heard temptation of the light. Everyone says, well, Darth Vader had some good in him, and at the end he turned. But like, it was never like something like, "Are you tempted by the light side?" Yeah. So when hearing Kylo Ren, like he was feeling so conflicted and like wanting to be good, like it was so, like just a new idea. So yeah, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think one thing I love about Kylo Ren is that he's, and maybe some people don't like this, that he's just like a fanboy. He's a Vader fanboy. Like you said, he's tempted by light. He wants to be the dark side. He wants to be like his grandfather Vader, even though Vader came back to the light at the end. I just think that's that's very different for a bad guy. It was kind of refreshing to see somebody, and I think what's cool that he was kind of a baby at times. It kind of made him more dangerous that he would throw these temper tantrums.
Oh, when he
so I like they were like, oh, they got away. He just like slash stuff and just throw an absolute tantrum. They'd show like the stormtroopers like turn around and like just not go down that hallway. And like, I thought that was cool. I thought, he is like he's still like really immature. And that almost makes him more dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even like showed it on his lightsaber. It's like, really
unstable.
Yeah. Unstable.
Yeah, I just read something today that like he chose to leave it like that. Like he could have fixed it so it just all went like one way, but he chose to make it like unstable. Even
I
not
can see
just like that it went out like with the hilt, but also like you just look at the blade and it's just like
it's jagged.
It's jagged. It's so cool. Love his lightsaber, by the way. I think that's an awesome.
When I first
addition.
saw that in the trailer too, that was another thing that had me worried about the movie. Is I was like, here we go. We're trying to make the lightsaber, be something kooky and trying to make it as, new as we can, so we can sell new toys or whatever. I thought it was very commercial. And then when I saw it, I was like, it makes sense for his character. It makes sense that he's not like a Sith, he's just, this guy that built a lightsaber, and he's this real unstable guy, and he's got this unstable lightsaber. And I ended up loving it. And I was like, a hilt kind of makes the most sense. And he started when he was using it on Finn, on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay, at least it's practical.
Yeah. And two, a lightsaber, there's nothing there protecting your hand, and we've seen it. We've seen like Anakin chop off people's hands. He chopped off Dooku's hands, Luke's hand, because there's no hilt there. So you can just slide it down and do a little flourishy, and off goes the handy hand.
Hey, can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I said this last episode, but how come nobody's utilizing the feature, like in a lightsaber battle, like you're battling, right, and you go for that kill strike. Let's say like they're going to block horizontally, and you're going like for a vertical strike. Why not just like quickly turn the lightsaber off, bypass where their lightsaber is, and then click it back on real quick and just like through them?
Because then every lightsaber fight would be like just guys like trying to like turn it on and off real quick at each other.
I guess it's just etiquette. Yeah.
That'd
be a smart move though.
Yeah, it would
be a smart move.
I think we have to chalk it up to reflexes or something if we have to really get into it.
Yeah.
Like they have to anticipate it. Like someone had to like tried it one time, it worked, and then tried it again, and everyone like killed him or something, and everyone else who did it from now on, and they were just like, all right, it doesn't work anymore. Let's not do it.
Don't do it. But then you just mix it in. You do it sometimes, and you don't do it. Just saying. Anyway,
it makes sense. I'm not arguing with you. I'm glad they don't.
I'm glad they don't either. But anyway, with Kylo Ren, he's this unstable character, and now going to. He does some awesome powers, by the way. I love his freezing power. When he freezes Poe, when he freezes Rey, that is super cool.
And it makes sense though too with. Like how Force powers, how we've seen them before.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like something that couldn't have been done by anyone else.
Right. It just seemed like a cool way to use the Force that hasn't, it's a little bit unique, but it doesn't seem outside the realm of possibilities.
It didn't seem like overpowered or anything.
It seemed powerful. It seemed powerful, but it didn't seem like crazy. Crazy. So I liked it. But if we break down, I think one of the biggest complaints about Kylo Ren in this movie is that like, how do you lose to this former stormtrooper janitor who's like never held a lightsaber and a girl who's like never held a lightsaber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've had discussions about this, and I think I was honestly on the other side of the camp, and then I talked to you a little bit more about it.
Oh.
So if we break down some of the factors of it, so like you already mentioned, they emphasize the whole movie, The Force Awakens, about how powerful that bowcaster is. And I think J.J. Abrams does that on purpose. Not, one, it's funny when Han says something, but also Chewie just hits him in like, what does he hit him in the leg, the groin?
He hits him in the abdomen.
In the abdomen. Okay, so So,
that's your core.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They show him pounding on his abdomen.
Yeah.
Right. They hit him right in the core with that bowcaster that was sending people flying 20 feet. Yeah. And Kylo Ren just kind of takes it, and it hurts, but he keeps
staggers
going.
Down. He goes to a knee, but then he goes.
Yeah. So there's one point for Kylo Ren there.
He's dealing with the injury that's been tossing guys. Like as soon as he killed Han, Chewie was shoots him with the thing. The bowcaster has been knocking guys. He goes to a knee and he's back up.
Yeah. And then they emphasize that when he's fighting Finn, he's like pounding on it. So he's already at a little bit of a, he's already weakened. He just has like this conflicting feeling about killing his dad.
Oh yeah.
That's still got to be weighing in on the situation.
Yeah. 100%.
You got to believe, and then, now he's starting to fight Finn, who's not like he's never fought before. Like he was trained to some extent. He still shouldn't have stood a chance, and he lost to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren won the fight. So I can live with that battle, even though there were a couple times Finn nicked him once.
I think Kylo Ren, though, I think the initial sort of nick he got from Finn, I think he was still kind of toying with him, though.
Yeah,
I think
he was.
In his head, I think he was like, this is going to be an easy kill with him, and then especially with, right. Dirt Princess over there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
so he does. He ends up slicing Finn through the back, along the spine. It looked like, and then brutal. Finn's out right now. He's we're not sure if he's going to survive. We're not sure he's going to survive till Last Jedi. And then Rey. Then there's that awesome scene with the snow lightsaber in the snow, and it's Rey. Who takes it?
She
still think it would have
Luke's or Anakin's lightsaber.
Yep. Or Obi-Wan's. No, it wasn't Obi-Wan's, but he had it in his possession. He
did have it for a while, yeah. So finders keepers rule.
Than either Luke or Anakin.
Good point.
Which we'll get into the theories that we were talking about before we get into The Last Jedi. But anyway, so she gets it. I think this has been an awesome point to introduce Luke Skywalker, by the way. Could you imagine if that was Luke Skywalker who caught that lightsaber instead of...
Part of me kind of thought that. I mean, the trailers for the movie made me...
And too cliche.
Oh, yeah.
But it
still would have been sweet. But, I mean, at that point, Luke would have kicked the crap out of Kylo. But I remember the trailer for the movie, seeing Finn holding the lightsaber. I was like, is he the new Jedi in this? And then it becomes quickly obvious in the movie that he has no real, control over the Force. At least at this point. At least at this point. We'll
get into that.
Yes. And at least it's not obvious to me, anyways, when I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
But then there is a scene then when Rey goes down and she feels the presence of something, and she touches the lightsaber, and it's Luke's lightsaber from when he got his hand lopped off from Darth Vader.
This is at Maz Kanata's, by the way.
Yeah.
Maz Kanata was a cool character they introduced.
Yeah, and they never used again.
They have this awesome statue of people of her, at the top.
Yeah.
That makes you think she might have been this ancient warrior, maybe even some type of Jedi. She says she's not a Jedi, but anyway, get into that. She knows something about the Force, and we're like, who is this? And they never really. She shows up again, but they never really. Anyway,
she's underutilized, and then so Rey finds the lightsaber. She feels something. So then I'm like, oh, she's gonna have the Force. So then when we're back in the woods at the Star Killer battle, and after Kylo Ren just slashed up Finn, you see her where you see the lightsaber struggling to go to him, and I'm like, is that gonna go to her? And it did, and it was pretty crazy.
It's pretty cool.
I mean,
pretty cool way to do it, JJ.
Yeah,
pretty cool way to do it.
Nice job, JJ.
And then she fights him, and everyone's like, yeah, but she's never wielded a lightsaber before. How can she stand a chance? Dudes, Kylo Ren was not trying to kill Rey. Okay? He was not trying to kill Rey. He wanted her on his side. There's another powerful Force being. Snoke and Kylo Ren wanted Rey on their side. So Kylo might be trying to he keeps talking to her, while they're fighting and stuff. And
I think he sees the potential in her.
So he's not trying to kill her. So about he should beat her. He's not trying to end her life. He could have if he wanted to do that. But
yeah, I don't think he was trying to. I mean, also too, she's been fighting guys with that staff.
True. So she does have some sort of
she has
practice
some melee training. She's definitely what you wouldn't expect to be at the same level as Kylo. But then, you were saying, Kylo was shot by Chewie already. He's been dealing with this bleeding wound now from his core for a while now. And he just fought Finn, and who nicked him a couple times before he finally ended that fight. And then, two, like you said, he was conflicted after he killed Han Solo.
Yeah, and he's not trying to kill Rey.
and he's not trying to kill Rey, and he's
that's
still
why
trying to
my
wrap his
problem
head
was-
around
any problem
her.
I had with that fighting scene about him being or her being too powerful, or him being too powerful, or whatever, is out the window if you consider all those factors.
Yeah, I think
So-
they were on pretty even ground. I mean,
Yeah, I think it evened the ground. And,
she didn't look that skilled. I mean, she was running away for parts of the fight.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and at one point she kind of taps into the Force when their lightsabers are interlocked. She like clears her mind or whatever, and so yeah,
For Jedi.
yeah,
So let's go back to that lightsaber vision when they're at Maz Kanata's, this place Han Solo brings them. Cool character Maz, and she hears a little voice or something coming, and she finds a lightsaber. Anakin's old lightsaber. She touches it, has this crazy awesome Force vision that like shows her like on like the Death Star or something real quick, and it shows her.
yeah, I think so.
I think. Do you hear Darth Vader's mask in that? Do you hear his
Yes, I
breathing?
think so.
You
I
hear
think I
Darth
hear-
Vader. You see a short vision of like her parents leaving, and like that guy on Jakku taking her as a little girl. And then here's the thing that always got me: is they had Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequel movies, come in and whisper this: "Rey, these are your." No, I think he just said, "These are your first steps."
Mhm.
Whispered it like that. And then they went and they took Sir Alec Guinness, who played the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, when Obi-Wan was an older man, and he's passed on. So they went and they took the audio file of when he says to R2, "Don't be afraid," and he takes Rey, and you can hear the same inflection on the voice because it was the same, it was just the recording. And they splice it, and he says, and you hear Obi-Wan say, "Rey." And I just watched it with subtitles the other day, and it does, and it will say Obi-Wan Kenobi, Rey, these are your first steps in the subtitles. And you can, and if you're watching it in the theater, you might not hear it because it is kind of quick and it's soft. So after the movie came out, everyone's like, "Is Rey a Kenobi?
Yeah.
Why is she hearing Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice?" And so that was a big theory going around. I think that was one of the main theories. I think you had your generic theories after the movie of who Rey is. Is she a Skywalker? Is she Kylo Ren's sister? Ben Solo's sister? Is she, like I said, Skywalker, Luke's kid, or, Leia or Han's another kid of theirs? Is that why Kylo Ren said which girl?
Mm-hmm.
Is she a Kenobi? Because we hear Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice. And then people were like, yeah, but why would she have the reaction to Anakin or Luke's lightsaber? And that's why I say Obi-Wan Kenobi had possession of that lightsaber for a longer period of time.
Interesting.
Than either, well, it doesn't matter because this theory is wrong. Then, than
It's
either
still cool to
Anakin
hear
or
these
Luke.
things, though.
So after Force Awakens came out, that's kind of the one I was going with.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a theory that she may have been a Palpatine.
I did.
And then there were a ton of other theories too.
Yeah, I mean, so it does. We'll get to Rise of Skywalker, but briefly, I mean, spoiler alert: she is a Palpatine. And
yeah. So somebody was right.
I did not see that coming. I saw a video on YouTube of it was like why Rey's Palpatine. It was like popping up on my YouTube feed after I saw Rise of Skywalker because Google knows everything about me apparently, and and I looked at the release date of it. And it was like 2 years ago. So that was Rise of Skywalker. I'm not Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi period back in 2017. So I was like, man, this guy had it right, and there was nothing that Rian Johnson even left him to think that. So good on that guy, whoever thought that and published that. Good on everyone who thought that. I don't think there's any way you could have got that. I'll have to watch the video and see exactly what he thought. But
Good call. Good call.
I was kind of thinking though, I was hoping that she was a daughter of Skywalker, and I was thinking that's why Skywalker went to the island, or not the main reason he went to the island, but in the course of him going to the island after Ben's betrayal or whatever, maybe dropped off his daughter so that she wasn't with him for, whatever he was going to do, or maybe something happened. So I think Abrams might have changed his plans around
maybe
after. I'm not saying
sure
it was 100% supposed to be a Skywalker from the beginning, but I think his plans did change after The Last Jedi.
I think being a Skywalker, and I've always said I thought being a Skywalker would be too obvious.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted her to be, but I know in movies, today they
wanted her to be a Kenobi really bad.
I thought she was going to be a Kenobi. And if you watch the Clone Wars series, Obi-Wan does have like a romance with this queen from Mandalore, home in the Mandalorians.
But not the Mandalorian.
No, not the Mandalorian.
Spoiler alert.
He's a foundling. But so yeah, but there were so many theories and there was so much potential after this movie. And I was so excited. You were so excited. Like I said, the fact that the trailer dropped the night before our cardio palm test it put the nail in the coffin for me failing that test.
And so
what were you hoping for, though? What were you hoping for her parentage to be?
I was hoping she was going to be a Kenobi.
Just
because Obi-Wan Kenobi has always been my favorite Star Wars character.
Oh yeah.
And and the people were like making comparisons, like, oh, look at the color clothes she's wearing. It's kind of Kenobi like, in Force Awakens. And so I was like, oh, that'd be awesome if she was a Kenobi. And so another thing going into Last Jedi that we didn't know much about was who this big bad guy was.
Snoke, the new leader.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
And he's not Sith. He wasn't Sith, which was new.
Well, right.
Well, at the time that was put out, they were saying he wasn't Sith. Abrams, I remember seeing it somewhere. I'll have to look it up. But they were saying
he was kind of Sith, though, after Rise of Skywalker.
100% after Rise of Skywalker. But
right.
When they had Force Awakens out, they were saying he is not Sith and that he had this very unique backstory, is what they were all saying. He's been involved in all this trauma or something, and
not so unique.
Not at all. I think that was changed.
Disappointed. Okay, so anyway,
we'll get to that after we.
They have this hologram of him, and they make him look like 100 feet tall, and it's like in the hologram, and he's not actually in real life, but. They're like, oh my God, who is Snoke? I want to know where he came from.
I was worried
how powerful he
is. And I was like,
I didn't want him to be a giant.
I was like, I don't want that because it looked real. Like it didn't look like the hologram blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was different.
We're seeing him.
Yeah, but you get those giant hologram chambers. The quality's amazing.
The resolution on those things.
The resolution, dude.
Oh man.
And plus, we're talking 30 years after.
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi. So technology exponentially.
That's what I mean. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was super excited to find out who he was after Force Awakens.
Yeah,
I was really
find out who Snoke was. So there was a lot of things after this movie. The movie was fun, and it also set up who is Rey's parents, who is Snoke, where did he come from, where did he go, where did he come from, Cotton Eye Joe. At the end, she ends with Luke, and the scene we reenacted from the beginning, minus the lightsaber throw. It ends with John Williams just lighting up his symphony. He's like, he was like, da, 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 da. John Williams just up there, just hammering away on his symphony, and and there's Luke, and you're like, what has Luke been doing? What's going on? He made more Jedi, and one of them turned. Oh my goodness, I want you to know all these things. So you just wanted to know, and the movie was good, and you just want to know all these things. And then Rian Johnson, like you did at the beginning, was just like,
yep. Oh, here's Force Awakens script. Here's all the things you want in this movie. Boom. Gone.
We have to be subversive. Subvert audience expectations was the line that all film people have been saying this decade.
Yeah.
All major franchises. Game of Thrones.
Listen, there were a million. Yeah, the Game of Thrones dust. Anyway, we're gonna have a whole Game of Thrones thing, man.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna talk about Game of Thrones. Unfortunately, we have to talk about season 8.
Yeah.
But what is it with the number 8?
Is that the unlucky number? I guess.
I guess so.
Theory 8. Is that something we'll have to look into? Maybe
We're gonna have to look into episode 8. Has there been an episode 8 like any other movie franchise? Well, Harry Potter, I guess. 8, but it was still 7 though.
Yeah,
and it was still a good movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
Fast and Furious 8 was It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
It was consistent with the franchise. I mean,
okay.
I don't know though.
Okay,
but
well,
they weren't trying to subvert audience expectations though.
No.
So The Last Jedi came out 2 years later. We had to wait 2 years for this thing.
Filled with awesome teasers and trailers. Like I said before, I had never been so excited going into a movie. And that's probably why I didn't like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Part of the reason why.
I watched it again, and now that I had, changed my expectations of it, and I had already been subverted by Rian Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Rian Johnson wrote and directed Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And J.J. Abrams directed and helped write Star Wars The Force Awakens. Also, a little fun fact, too. I think one of the reasons that The Force Awakens was so fun, Lawrence Kasdan helped write The Force Awakens. And he's worked on films like Solo in 2018, which we both liked. He worked on The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston. I saw it once. It was a pretty good movie. A lot of people love it. And he also worked on the original Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So this guy has been, but he hasn't worked on any other Star Wars movies since Solo. Or he worked on Solo and Star Wars The Force Awakens. And
Solo, I like Solo a lot. So
solid guy. But then The Last Jedi, for whatever reason, they thought they needed to bring in a whole new set of eyes and hands, I guess. And Rian Johnson wrote and directed it. I don't get it. And Rian Johnson loves to subvert audience expectations. And I just saw a movie actually this weekend, Knives Out.
Didn't see Knives Out. Is it as good as everybody's saying it is?
It's not amazing.
Everyone says it's really good.
It's good. It's good. It's definitely good. It's not bad. It's actually, I looked into Rian Johnson, and there's other movies of his that I really like that he's done. I liked Looper.
I didn't see Looper.
You did see it?
I did not see it. Is that with Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah, and Bruce Willis. And so Bruce Willis was like sent back in time.
Yeah.
And it's the older version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And Joseph should have killed Bruce Willis, but he didn't because it was him. And it's this really cool time travel movie. And I really liked it. I remember watching it and I was like, wow, this is good. I didn't know Rian Johnson did it though. And then he did Knives Out. I watched it. It's pretty fun. About halfway through though, you're like, where is this movie going to go? Because they already solved the thing. But then there is a larger mystery at play. I don't think that's too spoilery at all.
Okay. Well,
so
it looks like it. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that was fun and interesting. But you can definitely see that he likes to subvert audience expectations. And that's what he did. When he went
wrong
for
crowd.
The Last Jedi. Oh my goodness, this was the wrong one to do it, buddy. A lot of people though love The Last Jedi. Some people I see on social media, I would say it's their favorite Star Wars movie.
I would put them in the minority.
I would agree with that.
I would put them in the minority. Most people I talk to, and there are a couple people I know who really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But most people I talk to are very iffy on it at best. But listen, the ratings before the movie came out, the critic ratings were in the 90s.
And this was just
And
adding
so
to our hype too.
it was
We were
adding
like,
to the hype.
the critics love a Star Wars movie, and we are just crapping our pants waiting to see this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
then
then
currently, what does it have, like a 53% on, or something like that? Maybe.
from critics.
No, from audience.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you can go better off the audience score.
Sometimes I just go off of
movies-
audience score.
Like
Yeah.
The Witcher, what we've been talking about, the show The
Yeah.
Witcher,
I heard I gotta.
does not have good Rotten Tomato score, but I don't know what all critics they pull from. If they're just pulling from like bloggers and stuff, it's I don't know.
Yeah. So,
But it's
so anyway,
we're only like a third of the way through, and it's already freaking great. So yeah, you can't always go off of Rotten Tomatoes, and especially you can't go off of it sometimes even when they say it's a perfect movie, because critics are a little snotty and snooty.
here's
And I
my
think
thing with
Ryan
The Last
Johnson is
Jedi.
too.
The Last Jedi had some cool parts in it, some beautiful scenes in it.
Great visuals. I
Some
would say
really
great
cool
visuals. All
Really cool
through
visuals.
this new trilogy.
Yeah. It's
I
really
think-
cool to see the technology that they use to bring like, to bring like the CGI and things like that into it was really well done.
I
So
honestly think that The Last Jedi might have the best visuals, and I think it might even have the
Mhm.
best music.
I don't know, dude. Rise of Skywalker was pretty crazy. It was
Yeah.
pretty, but it was over the top crazy though.
Yeah.
Now,
So we
with,
talked about all these cliffhangers too,
yeah,
that were at the end, and so this is kind of why we were disappointed. What all happened to all these cliffhangers that we were talking about, the ones that you've been setting up? What happened to each one of those?
oh god, I don't really want to talk about it, Steve, because they were totally just brushed under the rug, totally anticlimactic. You know what I mean? Like I think the big thing with Rey's parents is probably the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
With Rey's parents, they tease us the whole movie. Like she goes into like a cave like Luke went into. She thinks she's gonna see her parents revealed. It's her, and like looking in the mirror. Cool scene though. That's a cool scene with all the snaps. I liked that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In Last Jedi. But then he's like, okay, she doesn't know yet. The Kylo Ren's like, I know who your parents are. They were nobody. He's like, they were nobodies, and you know it. And then it looks like she's accepting it, which makes me as an audience member think like, oh my god, like she's really nobody. She's like, he's not just lying to her. Like she even looks like she knows that they're nobody, and she's been denying it. And
I think that was Ryan Johnson's 100% intention for it to stay that way.
Yeah, I feel like
was...
I think so too, and here's why. I think a big theme of this movie is he was trying to get away from like the you need to be like somebody's kid to be a Jedi.
Let the past die, kill it if you have to.
I feel like he was trying to set a new precedent that like anybody, like it could be anybody who could be a Jedi, and that's like why at the end of The Last Jedi, they show a little kid like taking a broom using the Force. And it's like it could be anybody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That could have these powers, and it was just like, okay, I that's fine, but like,
I think this was just the wrong trilogy to do with.
Yeah,
so if he had his own movies, own characters, and nothing tied them to these ones, where he could get his hands on and screw them up, he might have done a killer job with something really blowing your mind, but. Yeah. I just don't think these were the ones to do. So Rey's parents.
I mean, taking in those expectations that like all the audience had, you know, tons of fan theories, and then doing that, I was so disappointed. I didn't care what it was. You know what I mean? Like, even if she was a Skywalker, I didn't really want her to be a Skywalker, but like, I still wouldn't have been like unsatisfied. You know what I mean? But I just wish they made her somebody in that movie. You know. And then, like we already said, she ends up being a Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. I was pretty satisfied. I was pretty like, okay, like this is what I've been waiting for.
I thought it was cool, but I thought it was just so, heavy-handed, and it was just kind of a little late. And
it did feel late.
It felt like they had to really rush and be like,
it felt like it was salvaged.
She's Palpatine. This is what we're going with, and
just felt like it was really salvaged. But I was really happy that she was somebody. Oh, I wanted to mention this too, a critique of Force Awakens real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I think they could have done better with Force Awakens is the reveal of who Kylo Ren was very anticlimactic. Snoke just says to him, is like, your father Han Solo, and then it's just like, oh, well, that's okay. That's one thing I think they could have done better, is found a better way to reveal who he was.
I can see that.
Do you know what I mean? Didn't ruin the movie.
Mm.
It was still cool, but I think they could have made a better reveal. Anyway, let's go back to The Last Jedi. Yeah, Rian Johnson was definitely going for like a new kind of theme in Star Wars about, how it could be anybody who had the Force. So that's why they make Rey like a nobody. Like, it wasn't that she was important. She just happened to be on this adventure and she happens to have the Force.
To him, he was like, the biggest twist would be if no one was her parent. And I was like, that's not the twist we want.
Yeah.
That's not what we want, though.
Nobody wants it. Some people like that.
That's really cool.
There are some that like that. Some are like, yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, and so, if you are a fan of, any of these movies, and we make it seem like there's something we don't like, we're not trying to discredit you at all. No. I think if you've been listening to our other 2 episodes about Star Wars, it's pretty obvious we love them all. So that now that we're actually saying a lot more negative things, it might sound like we really hate these, like and we really disagree with anyone that likes it. But you always have your own right to like something and to appreciate something. But
after Last Jedi came out, listen, I was looking for any reason to like. I wanted to like this movie so bad because I've never walked out disappointed from a Star Wars movie like that before. Huh? So I was like listening to explanations for things. Some swayed me. Some things swayed me. I thought the Force Vision thing at first that Luke does. So Luke, they introduce a new power with the Force. Luke Skywalker comes out and does the coolest thing all movie, takes a whole bunch of AT-AT blasts and then just brushes it off. Like literally, it was epic. Has this really cool kind of like dodging like a lightsaber scene with Kylo Ren. And then he's not even there because it was a Force projection. Luke never left the island he was on, and he was Force projecting. And I was like, that just ruined the coolest thing that happened all movie. Like I was waiting this whole movie for something cool to happen. You give it to me, and then it was all fake. Like he didn't even do anything. It was just a projection. Like that's why those blasts didn't do anything to him. It wasn't because he was using a cool Force shield or something. Yeah. So at the time I was like, oh, that like you took the best thing and you ruined it. After the movie came out, there's a lot of talk like how can you introduce a power that's like just make up your own power like that. Well, Rian Johnson actually defended it, which I do have respect for Rian Johnson for defending his own film.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Absolutely.
Is in one of the I actually have the book, like the Jedi Path book.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's actually in there.
You can find like a video.
I could probably go find it.
And I think he posted it where he walks up to the book, turns to the page, and he just like zooms in. And I was like, there you go, man. I mean, that's
I like
Star
that
Wars.
He did his research, you know what I mean? And he read through some things.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually began to be okay with that scene after. So that made me like it a little bit better after seeing like, okay, it's not like he just like made something crazy up. And it takes like an incredible amount of Force energy and like not everybody can do it. You know what I mean? Like that shows how powerful Luke is in a different way. So I will say like that was one thing I like changed my mind about a little bit after I saw it the first time.
Yes.
And other things, I was just really looking for reasons to like it more.
But it really hasn't changed your mind that much. It sounds like
not too much. No, not too much. Well, The Rise of Skywalker did a little bit because it kind of with Rey's whole lineage thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess her parents, they're not nobodies though. I don't know.
They still they said, well, they're nobodies, but it's because they sold that they're, they were parents, they were children of Darth Sidious and all this. Yeah. And, so they still kind of hit on that, but
yeah, so
it was still kind of disappointing though.
It was disappointing. Here's the one thing in that movie that nobody has yet been able to explain to me and make me understand is why the purple hair lady cannot tell Poe Dameron the dang plans. Like, what's the harm of, like, he's begging to know what the plan is. How can he help? And nobody decides to say, is like, we're just trying to get close enough so we can do the escape pods so they don't see. And then we'll get to that. We'll like escape to our hideout, and then we'll regroup there, and they'll keep chasing these ships. And why? How hard is that to say? And when he finally hears it later in the movie, he's like, that could work. That's a good idea. So like, it just really made me mad. It really, like, every time I watch that, I cringe. I'm like, just tell him. And like, then he won't be a rebel and send Poe or Finn and Rose to that planet. And then that's the reason why the First Order finds out about them trying to escape in the pods. You know what I mean? It ruined it. It was like, it ruined the whole plan because she didn't tell him.
I was really psyched about Finn and Poe from the first movie. And then when I saw it, obviously that they were returning for this, I was like, I can't wait to see the two of these guys. Because I knew Rey was on the island. So I was like, then Rey and, Finn and Poe are going to be doing their buddy stuff. And it's going to be the most awesome side quest ever. But it didn't happen. Instead, Finn goes with this new character, Rose, who
sucks.
I didn't like. And no offense to the actress who played her. I know she got a lot of hate from fanboys and stuff. I'm not trying to throw any hate at the actress. It's not her fault about her character, But man, I did not like her. And the quest that she went on with Finn was ultimately pointless, other than it helped reveal the Resistance plan going down. They were supposed to find this hacker guy, so they go to this planet of gamblers, and it really just, the whole thing is just this heavy-handed message about how both sides of a war are bad, how being bad to animals is bad, and all this other crap. And it's just
a little bit about how like child slavery is bad.
They didn't help the child
because
slaves
I needed
at
that
all.
message. I needed that message.
I was wondering. I was like, when are they going to tell us keeping kids slaves are bad?
I didn't know. I know. Nobody's tackled that one.
So
yet.
It's changed my
Ryan
opinion.
Johnson did. Yeah,
it's changed my opinion.
I now will not.
Also, that's another thing Ryan Johnson did in Knives Out. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you.
I kind of want to see it.
He did a really heavy-handed message, though, right in the middle of it, though. A real heavy-handed political message. And I was just like, this isn't the place to be doing this. You know what I mean?
All right.
But so their whole side quest was ultimately pointless. We get to see who's the Silver Stormtrooper?
Phasma, who they're making. So let's talk about this.
Brianna of Tarth too, from Game of Thrones. An awesome character.
Gwendolyn,
awesome actress.
What's her last name? Gwendolyn.
It's slipping me.
I don't know, her last name escapes me, but she's great.
She's awesome.
Props
if you want to be on the podcast, get on the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't sit next to me though, because you'll make me look really small.
Yeah. Well, with remember so we were seeing before Force Awakens came out all these toys of this like silver one, and like she had this like staff thing, and she had like McDonald's toys coming out of her, so she was going to be a main character, and then she was in the first movie for like 2 minutes maybe.
They Boba Fetted her in the first movie.
So hard. And then we finally in Last Jedi we do get to see her a little bit more, not much more.
She does some cool fighting.
She does some cool fighting.
Her armor blocks some blaster bolts. They ended up just quickly dispatching her though.
Kind of killed her off, yeah. So anyway, with
Finn's side quest.
One thing I liked that character who was the Codebreaker guy. I liked him. But I just like they made him so likable when he like gave her necklace back after he used it. Like you thought he was a jerk. Like, why are you going to take something personal like that from somebody? And then he uses it and gives it back. He's like, oh, that's a cool dude. I think like the message there was like, he's kind of like that. Like you said, he's like guy. He's not on anybody's side. He just does it. He's looking out for himself. And, and like, he's trying to like spread that message too,
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you blow them up today, they blow you up tomorrow, or whatever, you know.
And I think it was a kind of a cool topic, but
ultimately,
though,
it made me mad that he was end up being on the like turning against them.
Yeah, he was interesting, but then ultimately too, he was also kind of pointless. He didn't. I mean, he opened that one door and then he wasn't fought again. No one killed him. There was no.
He did. I mean, he did get him on the ship. He did like some cool stuff, like with the ship and
but
like
it was
making them like invisible to get on.
I mean, with the end of the character though, meeting them, there was no resolution between Finn, Rose, and him. Like, you know, killing him or seeing him die because of his evil ways or something. There was. I'm not saying he had to die, but there was nothing that kind of ended his interaction with them other than him leaving.
Yeah. So disappointed in the way his character
he was interesting though,
in the film. But he was interesting, and that moment was super touching when he gave her the necklace back.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's awesome, you know. So anyway, we have that whole stupid side quest. And here's my other problem with this movie, and I don't get why the critics thought it was so good. We have this whole time, like pretty much the whole movie, we have this slow chase scene. They
don't have enough gas to go to light speed. They're being tracked. So
and the Empire's like, no, let's just wait.
Can't go out in front of them because we don't want to. I forget what they said. We don't want to. We can't offer our fighters support if they're out in front. But there's one.
Yeah, they say that one time, and that's because Kylo Ren's there. Like, we don't want to lose Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but then it's like, why don't we send out some more guys that, you know, are expendable
why not
then?
Send out some, and then blow them up and then go home and, you know, watch some Netflix.
Yeah, like, do some resistance stuff.
Yeah. Like, why are you guys, like, just slowly chasing them? They're just staying just out of reach and giving them a chance. Just giving them a chance. That just, to me, was so dumb.
The whole resistance like plot line in this made no sense to me. It starts off with them evacuating because the Empire, the First Order is coming. Like, it's like the beginning of Empire Strikes Back with Hoth, how they're leaving Hoth. They have to leave this base. Mm-hmm. And then it's the slowest chase ever. Again, like we just said, didn't make any sense that it had to be that way. Also, there's like none of them left. If this is a resistance, it's like, how have they been doing anything at this point? Like, you've already used up all your bombers, all your other ships, and all this stuff. It's like, what? And like, how have you been causing any trouble to the guys that blew up 6 planets?
Yeah.
And then they go down on another planet, but they're immediately caught while they're doing this. So they go down to this planet, and then they have to run away from that planet. So they the whole movie is just them moving, being found, moving, being found. It's like, why are we seeing this 3 times? We could have just started out with one planet, and the whole time we know that the First Order is coming, trying to figure that out, and then having to leave at the end. Why do we have to do all this other crap in between?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense.
So, okay, right.
So, like you were saying, the slowest chase scene ever,
and we almost had a beautiful way of Princess Leia going out. I was at peace with it. I think everyone thought someone was going to die and end up being Luke, but
I thought Leia was going.
So I thought this was a great scene. I thought this was great because you have these TIE fighters and Kylo Ren like fighting, and you see the Force connection between Kylo and his mother, Ben and his mother, when he's supposed to take that bridge out where his mom is. And it's like, is he really going to kill his mom too?
I was watching again this time. I thought he did. I forgot that he didn't.
He takes his hand off, and it shows that he didn't do it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then, but as a consequence of what he did and who he was, the other two going to do it. You know, the other 2 TIE fighters. It wasn't directly him, but, you know, still kind of because of him.
Yeah, his actions with the First Order, yeah.
Yeah. But it showed that, you know, the light was still in him. Like, he wasn't strong enough to take his own mother out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really well done.
Yes.
But then they were having this really pretty space scene. Leia's out in space, and she uses the Force to come back, like Mary Poppins. Like, I'm just like, what?
You didn't like that scene, huh?
It was weird. I don't have a problem that she uses the Force at all, but like that was weird. I don't know.
It was really cool to me because I was like, oh, they're gonna kill her off, but she didn't really get to do anything in this, and then she uses the Force to come back. I'm like, okay, cool. Now maybe she's gonna start doing stuff, but then they just lay her up again, anyways.
Yeah,
it's like I mean that was really the last movie she was able to do, and she was so underutilized. I think I would have liked to have seen more, obviously, with her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then one of the things too is Admiral Akbar, who is never really a major character in Star Wars, but fans
to the
love
fans,
him. Fans love him. Rian Johnson just instantly kills him off.
And they're like, and they don't even show it. They're just like, oh, we lost General Akbar.
They mention it. They don't. It's not really emphasized though. And instead they have this new character who we've never seen before, the pink-haired lady. You
don't like at any point that she's on the screen.
No. Probably when she dies is probably her best scene.
Now let me say something. No, you're not wrong.
And who should have done that should have been Admiral Akbar. Admiral Akbar should have been alive.
Yeah. Akbar should have done it. Absolutely should have done it. That would have been an awesome send-off. And if Akbar was if that happened in Rise of Skywalker, it would have been Akbar. Because Rise of Skywalker was like very fan-pleasing. So like to have this new character do it, they go and so what they do is they have their last resistance starship, whatever, and she turns it around and she goes at hyperspace hyperspeed right through the Snoke's main ship. And it's one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen in Star Wars. Usually in Star Wars there's always sound, whether it's music or something. This is like the only time I can think of in Star Wars where it's dead silent when they do the light speed. And they show Snoke, and they show it splitting. Just cutting the other ships right through the other ships, and it's like, it's really a kind of jaw-dropping scene. It's beautiful.
Everyone in my theater was silent.
It was silent.
No one was making any throat clearing. No one was moving their feet. No one was shuffling in their seat. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone was just like,
yeah. It was pretty epic. That was a really strong point in The Last Jedi. It's probably one of the most memorable scenes for me. But it should have been Akbar who did it. I agree with you there.
At least someone that we could have recognized, from the other movies.
Yep.
And again, it was like you said, her. I don't know if the point of her was to try and like put Poe in his place or something. Was to like, I don't know.
I don't get it. There's zero. Nothing makes sense about it.
There's no logic for it.
Nothing makes sense about it.
She never tells him, even when he's taking mutiny, even when he's mutinying her, she doesn't just tell him, we have a plan. She's like, she can't be then like, all right, Poe, don't do this. We have a plan. You know what I mean? Like, at no point does she offer anything.
And then she has the nerve to say to Leia, like, I kind of like him at the end.
Yeah, I wonder if that line was almost just put in because they knew that we were all going to be kind of mad because Poe's awesome. He's an awesome dude. He's been nice to Finn. He's nice to everyone he meets. He's very passionate about what he does. You know what I mean?
By the way, why does Poe? It seems like Poe kind of has the idea to call Maz. They must have some kind of history together.
He never met her on that.
At least not that we saw.
Planet.
I mean, he was there when they were fighting, but
Force Awakens. Yeah, he was there in the X-wing, but he wasn't down with them.
Yeah, so, I mean, Finn doesn't have a very good relationship. Well, kind of. I mean, she did give him the lightsaber, I guess. But I guess if Finn was the reason why they called her.
Yeah, no idea.
I was thinking that's kind of weird.
For as intelligent as the movie was supposed to be defended by Rian Johnson, there was just a lot of moments like that where you're able to pick out and be like, why this? Why that?
Yeah.
How's, there should have been no reason she should have been interacted with. They should have, you know, they would just wanted to shoehorn that character in.
Yep.
And so another disappointing thing too was Snoke was killed off in this, and we've been using this as a verb now.
Main disappointment. Yeah, this is a new term for Steve and I.
To be snoked.
To be
for
snoked.
the character to be snoked means so snoked, as defined by the Stephen Colby dictionary, is for a character to be revealed as being extremely cool and having a lot of potential to be super awesome, and learn more about them, only to be killed off very easily and without any explanation.
That's in Webster, I think.
That's in our new Webster dictionary. Check it out, the Colby Steve dictionary. And we've been using it for other things like Game of Thrones with the Night King.
He got snoked.
He got snoked by Arya Stark. Pulling.
We said that as soon as he did. Like, he just got snoked.
We said it. We said it when we were watching. He just got snoked.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah. So that was a huge disappointment.
Mufasa.
Mufasa. What about Mufasa?
He kind of gets snoked.
Oh, he gets snoked.
In Lion King.
He definitely gets snoked. No, I think about it. He definitely gets snoked. There definitely needs to be a prequel where we see what he is.
Yeah. So here's another thing coming out of Force Awakens. All this mystery about who Snoke was. We're gonna get an answer in Last Jedi.
And you're seeing, you know, images of him. I think there was like a quick shot of him in the trailer when he's like reaching out and torturing, what's her name, Rey. He's reaching out and you hear him talking in the trailer saying raw power and things. Andy Serkis, you know, the guy who played Golem from Lord of the Rings, motion capture guy, was doing them, and he just seemed really cool. He's wearing these golden robes, you know, looking like a real player, you know what I mean? And
he's doing awesome stuff with the Force.
He's
got
so
crazy awesome like
powerful.
lightning.
When he zaps Kylo, Kylo Ren kind of gets up to challenge him, and he just shoots the lightning down real quick. I was like, and I looked at my brothers when we were in theater. I was like, he's gonna be sweet.
He's using like the Force like through a hologram somehow. He against General or Hux.
Yeah, Vader was able to do that though too.
Yeah, that's true. He did it through
people through screens and stuff.
That's true. That's true.
He didn't even have to use his hands sometimes. He could, like, I remember when he's sitting in the dome, there's a guy on the screen and Vader isn't even moving. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's how that works. So
that's true.
That was already established in the movies that he could do that. And then the way he's tossing Rey around, and the way he's
tossing the lightsaber and it like hits her in the head with it. That was hilarious.
Yeah, and when and his death is cool, in that it's a big moment for Kylo Ren, but they should have explained him more. Should have had him do something else. I mean, otherwise, you know, I mean, making him so, you know, cool, unique looking, and powerful,
killing him without an answer of who he is.
Yeah, but it was cool when he did that. I mean, I kind of like laughed when I saw it. And it was so cool too how he was reading Kylo Ren's thoughts. He was like, and he knows he is no longer conflicted with who his enemy is, and he turns the lightsaber to his enemy. And meanwhile, Kylo Ren is using the Force to turn the lightsaber, and he's like, and he is going to ignite his lightsaber and kill his enemy, and he like gets cut in half. And like I love how his body like falls off.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was crazy. Pretty cool. But
he got snoked. He still got snoked though in the movie. And I think Rian Johnson had no intention of, you know, staying on that character, or ever needing to have him explained.
Well, the best thing to come of Snoke, instead of it came, you know, you got Elf on the Shelf, and then you got Snoke on a Coke. People will take pictures of like a little Snoke action figure in different positions on Coke cans and Coke bottles and stuff.
I'm glad that's a thing.
That's a thing. So anyway, Yeah,
And
then we
the
have
fight they have
what
in
is
the
like
throne
everybody's
room.
favorite scene in the movie is the throne room fight scene, which was one of my favorite scenes in the movie until was it you who sent me the video of all the flaws with the choreography?
Yeah, a lot of people. The thing is, though, I watched it again today, and I still there was the one scene where one of the guards has Rey, and I did notice his left-handed weapon disappeared when he was holding her.
He's got a knife thing in both hands.
He's got two knife things in each
fighting Rey.
bilateral hands.
And then he like gets her in a headlock with one, and then all of a sudden the one that was in his left hand is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and we try to rewatch it, and I don't see him drop it or throw it. It's just gone.
They had to edit it out because they must have known that people, if they saw it, would be like, well, why doesn't he just use that to kill her? So yeah. So some people broke down the whole throne room fight scene, and there's a lot of just movements that are like wasted movements by the guys in the background. They just turn instead of coming forward to fight. But when I was watching it full speed today on the TV, and I wasn't able to really
tell
full
speed.
Yeah, I mean,
except
still
for the
one cool to see.
It is visually cool, but yeah, when you slow it down and break it down, and you could probably do this with a lot of movies too.
Yeah, there's a lot of fights though. I think the Witcher fight though. If you come back to The Witcher, I think even if you pause that nonstop, I think there's going to be some, sword expert on YouTube that breaks it down and says how unrealistic it is. But I mean, it's so quick, and every move looks like it's trying to do damage. That, like, man, I think that's the new standard.
Yeah, but anyway, the Witcher scene for sure should be the new standard. That was crazy good. So
every blow was to do something. There wasn't any sort of twirling just to twirl. There wasn't any weird, I'm going to spin this way looking things. It was like everything he did was to land a blow. And they cut each other a bunch. I mean, that's like if you ever do watch like something on YouTube where there's like I have watched like real kendo fights like on YouTube where guys have like swords and they're covered in protective gear. Like it's pretty quick when they actually first hit each other, but not every hit is gonna do you in. If someone hits you in the arm, that's like a point in kendo and they stop. But if you get hit in the arm with a sword, that's not going to do you in. A lightsaber might, if it goes all the way through, is going to chop off your arm. But so anyway, if you break it down, that scene, there's a lot of people that really rag on that scene. I am not going to rag on that scene though, because it still
most people love that scene.
I still love it. Yeah.
I think everyone's disappointed that there was not a true lightsaber battle in all of The Last Jedi.
Nope. Not there was.
The closest thing you had was that scene, and then the Force projection Kylo Ren fight scene where their lightsabers never actually touch because Luke's not actually there.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no like lightsaber battle, which was very disappointing.
And I'll say one more big disappointing thing then, and then for me was just everything about Luke in this. I mean, everything about he like how you said Obi-Wan was your favorite character from Star Wars. Luke has always been my favorite. He's the one I've identified with the most, especially when I was a kid. And then seeing him at the end of The Force Awakens and the full formal Jedi robes, the hair long. That's one of the things I was expecting in this movie, was to really see him really like unleash power. You know what I mean? Yep. And like fight Snoke or something. But they take his character in a way that doesn't make any sense. And I've seen people defend saying he's this grouchy guy. And it even starts out with him. He throws the lightsaber, that he was standing all dramatic for. And then with him in his nice Jedi robes, instantly goes down to his hut, changes into his burlap sack for no reason, and gets on with his burlap sack stuff. He starts milking animals and drinking the milk right after milking them. And the thing that got milked was like, I'm getting milked. Can you believe this? Has this ever happened to you, Ray?
You seeing this right now? Yeah.
You seeing this?
Yeah, I think he's like, you next?
Are you here for this too?
Yeah.
Oh. And then I mean, and he's there to die.
That was pretty cool when he caught that fish, though.
Yeah,
I did like that. That was pretty cool.
That was a cool scene. And it turns out he didn't even have the Force when he was doing that, which was pretty rad. But
that's stupid that you didn't have the Force.
It turns out that, he's there to die, which I was like, all right, that's kind of cool that, after this ultimate failure that he would do that. But he was just unnecessarily mean to Rey the whole time.
I mean, he didn't give Chewie a hug.
He didn't even, again, he didn't even acknowledge Chewie at all. Really, other than, what are you doing here? And then, where's Han? It was,
He did have a good interaction with R2-D2.
Yeah, that was awesome when they're interacting, and then R2 plays the scene of Leia. I almost said Padme. Leia playing the recording.
Yep.
Saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're on my own hook." And he's like, "That was a cheap move, R2." And he says he'll go train her, but then he's just a jerk to her the whole time.
And I think one thing we really wanted was
never trains her.
We wanted. He's just trying to teach her don't become a Jedi because it's stupid. And there's all his lessons. He gets 3 lessons. He only gives her 2 of them
in the movie.
Yeah. And so,
go ahead.
Well, I think going into this movie, we all wanted a cool training sequence with Rey and Luke. That's what we wanted.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone wanted that. And I think, again, he was like, I know that's what everyone wants, so I'm not going to do it. I think they still could have got around, something with Luke being a little bit more depressing than normal. Maybe even him being cut off from the Force because of what happened with Kylo. Not necessarily him cutting himself off, but Kylo Ren's actions and his failure is what cuts him off. But at the same time, still being hopeful and wanting to fight, but maybe even turns out that Rey has to sort of train him to get back with the Force while he's training her. But instead it's just him being a jerk. He never actually teaches her any Force abilities or powers, which really makes you question, how is she so powerful by the end of this movie?
And you go back to when Luke was in the original trilogies. He would do anything for Leia and Han and his friends.
He ended his training to go save them.
And now he's this guy who, something happened with the training. Ben Solo was seduced by the dark side. And now he just gives up. And guess what? Han Solo died. And it's just man, Luke, that is not like Luke Skywalker to do something like that, even if he messed up with the training or whatever. So weird.
And so especially now his sister is in danger.
Yeah.
No way would he not do anything about that. There's no way. So I think he was right in trying to make a reason why he wouldn't go help, but his motivation was all wrong. I mean, another thing too it just ticks me off, and I have to sort of I try and pretend it's not the real, thing, is when he goes to try and kill Kylo Ren in his sleep. It turns out he's like a 20-year-old child. He's been training him. Yeah, he senses the darkness and he only lights it up for a second. But still, the fact that he jumped from, A to Z that quick, even though he did, regret it instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just so uncharacteristic. And
it is uncharacteristic.
I will say, Luke has all this dark past, is what people will say to defend that. People who like the movie, but it's but he never, used that.
He
didn't kill Darth Vader.
Do the ends justify the means moment. You know what I mean? Because he saw all the pain that would come from Kylo Ren in a Force vision.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought he could end that real quick, and that's what he saw. He's like, I could end that, and then he was like, oh shoot, no, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
I can buy that.
That's better than him just turning for no reason.
This is one of the things I think is brilliant about the movie. That's one of the things I like that Rian Johnson did, was he had Luke's first story, the one Luke chooses to believe. Then he had Kylo Ren's story presented, the one Kylo Ren chooses to believe. they're like same thing but opposite like perspectives, and they're so different than from each other. You know, Luke says that Ben Solo just like came after him and like attacked him without instigation, and then Kylo Ren says that he wakes up to Luke like already coming down with a lightsaber. You know what I mean?
Mid-swing, yeah.
Mid-swing. And the truth was in between, you know?
Yeah.
The truth was in between.
And again, I would have liked this.
I think that was brilliant because I think that rings true like in real life. I think that happens all the time.
Absolutely. A lot with, you know, especially today, you can see it. Everyone, like I said before another episode, how everyone seems so extreme anymore. But, you know, the truth is usually in the middle. And so I think that was pretty cool. I still don't like that it was even a thing for Luke, because I mean, Luke at one point is fighting Vader. Vader's saying, you know, who chopped off his hand and is, you know, just said he's going to turn Leia to the dark side, you know, who he found out is his sister, who he loves from these movies. And yeah, he goes ham on Vader. And then he cuts off his arm, cuts off Vader's hand, and then he doesn't kill him, even though he has every right to. And Darth Sidious is there telling him to do it. He's cool with it. He's gonna get a new apprentice. He's not mad about this, you know. So that would make him, you know, second in the galaxy as far as being a ruler. Yeah. But he doesn't do it. He throws the lightsaber away. He doesn't just, he throws it away. Yeah. And then when he senses a little bit of darkness in his daughter and best friend's son, his first instinct is to light up his lightsaber.
Well, it wasn't a little bit of darkness, though.
Yeah, no, he saw a lot of negative things, but I'm still saying
he saw like he was almost pretty much already turned.
Yeah, but I'm saying though that his relationship with Han and Luke, his past experiences with handling other people who were considered to be fully evil, you know, I think really lends to the fact that I think it would have held back, and I don't think he would have done that or handled it in that way if, you know, if they were staying true to the character. And I definitely don't think he would have been such a jerk to Rey the whole time.
Yeah, that was disappointing. Like, it still bugs me that they did him like that.
I mean, that's what I hated most and still hate about the movie.
And
even though I like the movie,
he was wrong. He said he was wrong.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah. But the one thing though that started to turn me around then with Luke was then he does show up at the end. You know, he comes through, he kisses Leia on the head. He says, "I can't turn Kylo Ren back. I'm going out there to do some freaking business now." You know, and he starts walking out. The music starts like the snare drums picking up. You know, John Williams trying to hold back on that symphony. He's just trying to hold back on that symphony. He's like, "Take it easy, symphony." Because normally anytime John Williams sees Luke, I mean, he sees Luke looking at sunset and he's like, "Come on, symphony." Da, da, da. You know, he sees Luke at the end of The Force Awakens. He's like, "Come on, symphony. Come on." You know? And then, you know, like he sees Luke walking out there and he's like, "All right, symphony, hold back. Hold back."
He's shaking. He's shaking.
Come on, hold back. And it's so sweet. He's walking out in this fiery door and all the troops are looking at him like, "Holy crap, that's Luke Skywalker." You know? And it's just like, that's who you are, dude. Yeah. He walks out there, just like he said, "What am I supposed to do? Face the First Order with a laser sword?" And that's exactly what he's doing. He's going out there, man. Kylo Ren's like, "I want every gun you have to fire on that man." And they all just start blasting him. And as soon as it picks up, he's just standing there, wipes the dirt off his shoulder, says, you know, "Come and get me." He comes down, he starts fighting Kylo Ren, he starts dropping some knowledge on him. And then, I mean, I was, like you said, I was a little disappointed initially. Kylo Ren cuts through him. Turns out he's a Force ghost, or a Force projection, rather, not a Force ghost. He's not dead yet. And then I was like, he's a force projection. He was never there. But then they cut then to Luke, and he's like sitting there, and John Williams is just going ham on the symphony now.
Hey, he had been
go get him,
bottling
boys.
it up. It had been like a soda that you shook it really hard, and like it was just fizzing up. It just needed to get out.
As soon as he sees Luke just levitating above the rock, all
it's just
again
all...
it's going. And then Luke said before that, I will not be the last Jedi, and all these cool lines. He was just being the most awesome he's been, in that scene. But then after doing that, he dies. And I was like, well, man, they just fixed him at the end. They just made me like what they're doing. And then he dies from exercising too hard and,
meditating. Yeah.
And
mental exercise.
It's
like me when I'm in my bed and I'm just trying to do like pretend bench press, and I'm just trying to imagine the weight on there and pretend it's on there, thinking that it's actually gonna get me stronger.
You have no many how close I've been to dying from like trying to do Sudoku and just using that much mental energy on a puzzle.
Oh yeah,
I've been so close to just evaporating into the Force. And so I just
that was weird. I was like, why? I was like, beautifully shot. I love how he there wasn't two suns on that planet, but he saw two suns on that planet. Because that was always his thing.
I loved how they handled his death, and that's how I would have liked it at the end if they didn't, screw him up for so long during the movie. I think it was really beautiful. I mean, him crawling out. John Williams just letting the symphony go.
We need more symphony.
We need more of that heart in that symphony. Luke is on, and then just lighten up, seeing the sunset. It's the same music when he was watching the sunset in the original Star Wars movie he was in, and then he force ghosts away. It was a great way for him to die. I'm glad it wasn't someone striking him down, but I didn't want him to die at that moment. I really wanted him to do more.
I didn't want him to die for that reason, because he used all his energy to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's okay, baby Yoda does something crazy. He just needs to take a nap for 3 days.
Exactly.
So
he just naps it off.
Yeah,
Luke should have napped it off.
One more thing I liked in this, is a little bit controversial, is the Force sort of connection between Rey and Kylo Ren. It took me a minute to understand what was going on. I think they did a good job explaining it like that, because it wasn't like they were showing them in each other's until Kylo and Rey touch. It was like they just kind of showed Kylo Ren turning around wherever he was. It showed Rey turning around wherever she was. And they just had this cool conversation.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you notice that things like I think it's raining where Rey is, and she's by the water.
Yeah, she
and
got
a wave
splashed
comes
by
up,
a wave. Oh.
And all of a sudden Kylo looks and there's a little water on him. I was like, okay, this is kind of a cool Force thing. And then we find out that it was Snoke claimed to have been forging their connection. So we're going to get into Rise of Skywalker here in a second. In Rise of Skywalker, this Force connection continues and it builds, and I actually like it a lot. What they do end up doing with it in Rise of Skywalker is really, really cool. But with, it's cool in Last Jedi too. I like it a lot in Last Jedi. But is it inconsistent that in Rise of Skywalker, they can kind of just do it when they want?
I think at that point, they
figured it out.
Yeah, because you did see it got progressively more and more like you said, it felt like they could see more of each other, and then it got to the point where they were getting things from their surroundings on each other, and then when they're sitting there in the hut together, they're touching, and they had some sort of Force, connection. I really like seeing
the Rise of Skywalker kind of explains that they're a diode.
Yeah, a Force dyad.
So they're
is what they said?
So they're it's super rare that they're actually connected in a way.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why they can do that. is because of some connection that they already had. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they might have even had it. It seems like
they didn't know how to use it, right?
Yeah. It seems like they were like kind of already connected, even in the first movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at least, you know, supposed to mirror each other in some way. And, you know, maybe Snoke helps stoke the fires or something. But I really like seeing the Force bond between them, because that was another thing I've seen in other Star Wars medium, like the Star Wars Knights of the Republic game, the bond between Revan and Bastila. They had a Force bond. And it was really cool how they did that. So seeing it in the movie, and the way they, like you said, how they executed it, I think was like perfect.
It was well done.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, you know, so there were points in The Last Jedi that were good. Just overall disappointed after I saw it. Still a little bit disappointed what they did with it. But Rise of Skywalker kind of made it a little bit better.
Yep.
Trying to salvage what happened at the end of The Last Jedi. And do you want to get into Rise of Skywalker a little bit?
Absolutely.
Do you have anything left to say about The Last Jedi?
No, we ragged on it a lot. Scenes though I did like Yoda.
Oh yeah, we almost forgot the Yoda scene. Great scene with Yoda.
Yes, he was very true to character. Just but he was laughing.
I like how he goes. There is nothing in those books that Rey or the girl does not already possess, or that Rey does not already possess. And you think it's because you're like, oh, because she's
clever.
She's already got it in her heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. But she has the books.
She actually has them.
She actually has them on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. Another thing too, though, even about that scene I thought was weird, was Luke was going up to burn it. He stops though, and then Yoda strikes it down with lightning. But then Luke's like, the sacred text. So he's like, all of a sudden he's concerned, but he was going to burn it in the first place. I mean, I know he stopped,
was like almost, I think he like was changing his mind. I think he goes up to it and was going to burn it. And then he like, is like, I can't do it or something.
Still, it was like a weird inconsistency.
It wasn't
anything major.
A little bit weird.
It wasn't anything major, but it was just something in that scene. Because otherwise that scene is pretty perfect. The way they are interacting, Yoda, him, the greatest teacher of failure is.
They grow. What is it?
The greatest
failure teacher is, but the quote he says at the end, like a great something about how they grow beyond what they are.
Yeah. For the worst thing for a mentor is that your student grows beyond you, or something.
It's to that effect. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here it is. We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters.
He drops again. He probably has my favorite quotes. The little scene he's in, he probably has my favorite quote in the sequel trilogy too. I liked his failure quote. Was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, it's
the
great.
Greatest teacher.
He has a great presence in that movie. That was probably another one of my favorite scenes in the movie. So it does have its bright spots.
Yeah, let's quickly just say, we don't have to go into detail. What are your favorite things then about The Last Jedi?
In Last Jedi, the light speed through Snoke's ship should have been Akbar. The Yoda scene. The past visions of what Luke and Kylo both saw, but then they revealed what the reality was. I thought that was brilliant. I really liked that. And the Force connection that they had, I liked a lot. Throne room scene was cool. And it would have been Luke going out there and like facing off against Kylo. It's still pretty cool to watch. I just wish he was actually there doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are mine.
Mine are pretty similar. Yoda's scenes. Luke, I remember like just how much my heart was like just swelling when I saw Luke walking out there and John Williams just cranking that symphony. So I'm still going to keep that on, even though I'm ultimately disappointed about how it ended. I really like the throne room fight. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. And I like the Force bond. I thought that was really cool how they did that.
Okay, cool.
So those
you don't like you don't like Rose? Oh, one more thing I have got to critique about this movie.
Go ahead.
We almost had an awesome moment with Finn sacrificing himself. I was like, oh, I don't want to see Finn die yet, but this is right. This is like finally something.
If he died like that.
I would have been sad, but it would have been heroic. He would have about to give himself up for the resistance, because here's this character who didn't want to be a part of anything, and he's come so far, like he's about to, and then Rose comes in and like saves him, and then says this cheesy line about like, we're gonna beat them by like saving each other. It's like, no,
don't win by killing.
No, you're gonna beat them. Yeah,
but by saving what you love.
Saving what you love. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, no. You win by Luke Skywalker force projecting himself to distract them so you can get away, and that's how you win.
You would have been killed. You would have been outright killed if Luke didn't show up and take advantage of Kylo's feelings. You would have been dead.
Yeah.
Finn would have been the only way you could saved what you love before that. And that's so. Let's just jump.
I was so angry. Even I watched it with my girlfriend. Even she was like, why did she do that? And my girlfriend would usually like not want something bad to happen to like one of the main characters. So it was
same, yeah. Tay hates it when anything bad happens to the main characters. But then at that scene today, we were watching it, and she was like, ugh.
Yeah.
She's like, ugh. And it was like the weirdest kiss too. Yeah. And now let's just jump right into the Rise of Skywalker. Then.
Okay.
Leading off of that, J.J. Abrams,
first
one of the major
minutes of the movie, J.J. Abrams gave us everything we wanted from Episode 8, or at least answered like some of the questions
of the things Rian Johnson
threw right out the window. But it's amazing. He did it so quickly. So here are the things that he did. So first of all, the opening scene is awesome of Rise of Skywalker. I bet Steve crapped his pants because it was actually pretty scary. It shows Kylo Ren actually like on Mustafar.
I didn't realize.
Do you know that was Mustafar?
Not when I was seeing
it's
it.
Like the trees are on fire. I never would have guessed it was Mustafar. So it looked like Mustafar, maybe a different part of Mustafar, or it was all dried up. The lava planet from Episode 3.
The thing that like I feel like Star Wars kind of gets wrong about planets though is that like planets are big and have diverse ecosystems. Like Earth has everything that every single one of these planets has in it, except for the more outlandish ones that were in the prequels. Like we have vast deserts, we have vast forests, we have vast oceans.
You can even argue that all of those, maybe not like Utapau, no, but
there's elements.
But even like Coruscant, like there's huge cities, you know,
huge cities. But then like
there's elements on our planet. Yeah.
You know, the original trilogy, I think was, you know, they stuck to these very limited planets because of the technology at the time. But then, and I don't know why in the new movies, they've just been sticking to, you know, desert planet, forest planet, you know.
So it's cool to see.
It is cool that it would make sense that it's all of Mustafar can't be moving lava.
And he's going to find this thing called a Sith Finder on Mustafar, which makes sense. I guess that's where Vader had it in his palace, I think.
Yeah.
That's why it was there. I saw
in a meme.
So I saw that. Yeah, I read that in an Instagram meme. So anyway, which are very reliable.
Oh yes.
And he's kicking some butt. It's pretty sweet to watch that opening. Not where I saw that scene was in the trailer. I did not expect it to open there.
Mm-mm.
And finding like a Sith path, like Wayfinder, is so like that seems like something that would be deep in a canon or non-canon like fan book or something, like not even like in a main movie. So I was pretty pumped about something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to a ancient Sith planet, which I'm all about that.
Yes.
So we haven't seen anything like that in Star Wars. Mm-mm. It's this crazy place where there's a lightning storm happening all the time. It's crazy. And they go down, and you hear, you know, Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, his voice, who we knew was going to be in this movie from the trailer.
Immediately in the crawl too. In the crawl at the beginning of the movie, they immediately said, Palpatine's back. He announced a message to everyone to scare them.
From Palpatine, like from the corners of the universe or something.
I was like, whoa!
And it's like, wow,
from the beginning.
I know. I thought they were gonna totally like have him like be revealed at some point, and I was like waiting for it. So I was a little bit like, really, you're gonna tell us?
I
that
thought he
soon?
was just gonna be like a Force ghost, something minor in the movie.
Or
He was the
even,
main
like,
villain
a vision
from
or
beginning to
something.
end.
Yeah, he was the main villain. So I didn't expect him to be that like actually there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, so pretty awesome intro, and he goes. One, they explain Snoke.
They're like, oh,
So
look,
one of
there's
the
a
theories-
vat of Snokes.
But one of the theories I actually had going in is that Snoke might have, after finding out that Sidious was going to be in this movie, was that maybe Snoke was like a puppet. And it turns out that's pretty much what Snoke was.
I
Snoke-
always kind of thought that Snoke was in some way connected to Palpatine, seeing as he's the only like dark
Yeah.
Sith,
Yeah.
Force user that we've seen before that time period. So he could have been. He's the only one he could have interacted with that would have been an evil Sith Lord, unless they revealed another new character.
Unless they brought like Plagueis into it or something, like maybe he
Yeah.
wasn't really dead. So anyway, so here's Kylo Ren walking down into this like temple with all these giant statues of old Sith, and it's awesome. And it's creepy lightning, and you can hear Emperor Palpatine talking to him, and he's like saying how like I made Snoke, and it just shows like a tank of a bunch of Snokes. In it.
A bunch of Snokes,
It just got a bunch of Snokes in it.
just all
And-
lopsided and
Yeah, just like
stacked on
leaning
each other,
against it. Yeah.
not menacing at all.
And it's like, okay, there's our answer. Like Snoke was a some kind of puppet for Palpatine.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, so there's one answer. That wasn't hard, And then the ending that scene, he's like, bring me the girl. She's not who you think. And it's like it's so awesome.
That was directed at us. That was
directed at the audience. I was like,
They were like, she is important after all.
yeah, he's like, she's not who all of you think. She is, because Rian Johnson was wrong. So
Oh,
so it's like he addressed these
also
things.
says
Oh yeah, and this is what made it the best.
a line from the prequels too.
The prequels of one of the most.
dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Oh yeah, and that's from the famous Darth Plagueis speech that that at the time he was Chancellor Palpatine gave Anakin.
Yeah.
So
anyway, he says this to.
And so I'm my mouth is like, when he says that, I was like, oh yeah.
I thought it was a kind of cheap way though. Also,
Oh,
to
no.
explain how he came back though, because I mean,
I thought it was cool.
he fell down the Death Star. The Death Star got blown up.
Here's my
and
thing with that, dude.
He's like, well,
There was a long
dark side.
period of time. There was a long period of time before that Death Star blew up. I mean, Anakin
Luke.
Skywalker and Luke had a lot of time to like have a little father-son moment before they escaped. And I mean, Luke had to drag him all the way to the hangar.
Good point.
And obviously the Emperor's got a ton of like loyal followers. So who's to say that someone doesn't follow him falling down the shaft? And he was like on life support. He was like a corpse on life support this whole movie. So that's how I bought it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody could have like taken him and then.
Do you think he was always meant to be the part he played in this movie, though? Like Palpatine, do you think he was from the beginning? Say what?
I don't think so. Apparently, Luke Skywalker wasn't, according to George Lucas, because George Lucas had like 9 stories made,
In this
and
movie,
apparently Luke was supposed to survive until the 9th movie. By the way,
and he should.
I don't
have.
know. Part of me is like, I don't want to diminish what happened in Episode 6 when Vader tossed him down the shaft.
Yeah.
That's my only thing with it. But I can, for the sake of a good movie, I can live with it. And
So after killing Snoke and the fact that Kylo Ren has always been hinted at going back to the light side, they needed a Force villain for them to fight. They needed one. And
because
Rian Johnson
at the end of
Snoke.
Yeah.
So
Because and at the end of Episode 8, it was like, okay, like I'm not even like afraid of Kylo Ren. He's kind of still a baby.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just wasn't afraid of him, and it's like there's nothing menacing going into the next movie, and then they show Palpatine trailer, and I still thought it was just like a Force vision. So I was like, well, it's still like, don't know.
I thought he was just going to be a Force ghost in this movie, and I think I've seen J.J. Abrams have said that no, Palpatine was always supposed to be part of this. From the moment I made The Force Awakens, he was always part of our plan. I'm calling bull on that. And,
really?
Oh yeah, I think his plan was always to have Snoke. Maybe to explain at some point that he was connected to Sidious. Maybe to have a Force ghost or something of Sidious. And maybe even that Force ghost being the puppet behind Snoke in the last movie or something. But I think the fact that Palpatine didn't show up at all in The Last Jedi, and the fact that he had to be rushed into this one, I think really shows that no one ever knew that, at least even if Abrams thought in his head it would be kind of cool, I don't think it was ever actually a plan.
But here's my argument.
Yeah. And
here's one of the point of all the Palpatine theories of Snoke after Force Awakens is that they use the same music whenever Snoke's on screen in Force Awakens that they used when Palpatine was doing his like Darth Plagueis speech to Anakin. It's like a very similar music, if not the same thing. And so everybody was like, oh, maybe there's a connection there.
I can see that. And like I said, though, I think he was in some way planned to be connected to Snoke. But I also don't think... I think Snoke was intended to be the big bad guy throughout this trilogy. And I think because Rian Johnson Snoke,
yeah.
that Abrams was like, well, I guess Palpatine's the new head bad guy for this movie. And I hope that brings back all the fans that are mad. Because I don't know about you, but I wasn't really even excited for this movie when it was coming out.
Well, I mean, I was really interested to see it, but like I didn't have all like the hype that was going into The Last Jedi.
I wanted to see it, but I wasn't excited, and I was like, all right, I'm glad Abrams is back, but like I don't see what they can do.
Remember the trailer did get us a little bit more excited.
I remember we were watching it together, and
we were like, okay.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't pumped, and I was like, if I don't,
I think we were afraid of being hurt again.
Exactly.
We were afraid to be hurt again. That's it.
Oh boy. But yeah, like we were saying though, Abrams was just cleaning Rian Johnson's house. The
first 10 minutes.
The whole beginning of the movie. He was like,
all right. Furthermore, go ahead.
No, he was like, oh, and you don't like how Rey is so powerful and she was never trained? Leia trained her.
Awesome training scene.
Yes, it was.
Awesome training scene. They gave us the training scene we never got in the Last Jedi, and it was awesome. It was a great training scene.
And then he was like, oh, you want Kylo Ren to have his mask back? Well, he's just gonna fix
They're
it.
Just gonna fix it. And you didn't
like
where the lightsaber? Oh yeah. Oh, you're wondering
where the Knights of Ren were that I had? They were really cool. Here they are.
Yeah. And then, you didn't like the lightsaber broke in half? Well, guess what? I already fixed it. Here it is.
Fixed.
It's been fixed.
It
might as well never have broken in half. It to me was so blatant of a cover up or of a, you know what I mean?
I don't know if that was,
seems so
Lucasfilm people saying we need to fix this, or if Abrams was like, I hate this crap. I'm doing what we all want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But another thing too, I complained about how they handled Luke in the last one. I hate how he threw the lightsaber. I hate how he was a jerk.
Yeah.
And as soon as she sees Luke's Force ghost, she's about to throw her lightsaber into the fire. He catches it and he's like, that's no way to handle the weapon of a Jedi. And he's just blatantly saying, I'm sorry I threw the lightsaber.
He says, I was wrong.
Yes. And then he outright says when Rey is like, you came here to die, I'm going to do that. And he's like, I was wrong. I just turned to my brother and I was just like, nice.
Yeah,
thank you. So, I mean, he was just cleaning house. He started Again, another thing I didn't like was that Finn and Poe weren't back together doing buddy stuff. And again, he's like right at the beginning, they're on a little mission right now on the Falcon.
On the Falcon.
You know.
Yeah. That was the scene that they showed in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Mark Hamill was doing the voice of that weird alien too. It was so obvious.
They're like, hey, do you want to be in this movie? Oh, I mean, you're already in it, but
you want to have more lines?
Yeah. Also, big spoiler, or surprise, I should say. Han Solo came back a little bit.
That was really cool how they did that.
Yeah, I did not expect, because I heard all these things about how Harrison Ford did not want to be involved with Star Wars anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I heard a bunch of stuff about this, and they had him come back in like a memory that Kylo Ren had.
Mm-hmm.
And Kylo Ren was just about reaching the point of like giving up these dark ways. He has like a memory, and it's like very reminiscent of the last conversation he had with his dad.
Yeah, he has the lightsaber in his hand. He's putting it up to him, and what does he say? I know what I have to do, but I don't know how to
I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it, or if I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
And then Han Solo was like, I can help you, or let me do it. And I don't know. I don't remember exactly what they did, but then eventually Kylo Ren turns around and he throws the lightsaber out. And I was like, wow. Again, it felt like...
I was like, keep it!
That was cool.
I was like, you can still use it!
Just put a different crystal in. Just put a blue one in.
Crystal. Or, just use it when it's red. Like, it still works.
But, I mean, that was a really good scene.
Yeah.
Even the scenes that so there was a lot of scenes that I did like, and I liked how they sort of recovered from The Last Jedi, but I felt like we had to really rush through this movie. And
but another thing that J.J. Abrams fixed, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't like that Rose was in this other movie? Well, guess what? She's hardly ever going to be in this movie.
I know. And the thing is, too, she kisses Finn at the end, alluding that they're going to be a couple, an item of some kind. He never talks to her. He never acts like they're romantically involved at all. Yeah. And I like, even at the part where they're on that one Star Destroyer at the end, him and the other chick who was a stormtrooper, and they should never have introduced. No, it was pointless.
But
they're pointing the turret at the thing. They're trying to do that. They're staying behind so they can blow up the Star Destroyer. And Rose is like, "Come on, Finn, come on." She's like, "Save the ones you love," and he's just like, "Destroy what you hate." Blah, blah, blah. He was like, "Screw you."
It was awesome. That's so awesome.
Like, my brother said as soon as it was over, he was like, Finn was like, "Destroy what you hate." He just, I was like, that's exactly what he said.
That's so cool.
Big F you to that scene with Rose and dumb line.
Rose is hardly in it at all.
And again, we're not hating on the actress for her, but the character. No me gusta. No. We didn't need you.
No, did not need you at all.
We had enough interesting characters.
Yeah. I would have actually liked to seen her less in this in the Rise of Skywalker. So
I think it was a perfect amount.
It was. It was funny
like
because she was there, but she was like Meg from
Family Guy. Just like, go away, Rose.
So did I ever tell you about how when I worked at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, this guy came in and we started talking, and he told me that he was in Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
Yeah, you told me this.
And he had a minor role as a pilot, but he had like a couple lines. And sure enough, I went back and watched it, and this guy was in it. Yeah,
you told me.
I don't think he was in Last Jedi. And then that's the guy who had he actually had a lot more lines in Rise of Skywalker. And he was the one that was like funny, like when he was talking to Leia. He was the pilot, like the kind of fatter pilot. He had a beard, scruffy beard. He had like a funny line where like Leia was like, "Why don't you say something more positive or something?"
Oh,
and he's like, "Oh yeah, they're doing great." Yeah,
that was
super
him?
sarcastically. Yeah, that's the guy that that came to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, really? I think he's in other stuff too. I think he's a fairly famous-ish guy.
Famous-ish? Okay.
Famous-ish.
I didn't know who he was, but like he kept, I don't know how it came up about Star Wars. I think he was just trying to tell me. Because
you got to tell everyone, man.
I thought it was sweet. I mean,
yeah. Oh, okay. So while we're talking about it,
yeah.
Big respect out to Carrie Fisher, and
yes.
I think they did the best they could with her in this movie since she's passed on.
Yeah,
she's awesome. She killed Leia. Great. You know, so everything I'm about to say isn't supposed to be negative towards her or the filmmakers for how they handled her, because I think they handled it very well. But some of her lines were so awkward and weird. What? Like at one point, like she would just like she didn't have the right sort of like inflection with the scenes they were having, and I felt like they just like would say like some of the scenes that she had.
Like, because they were like from Force Awakens, right?
Yeah, so her scenes in this were from Force Awakens, and they digitally
CGI'd.
They digitally changed her clothes, is what but they were all scenes that she had shot in that movie. So they didn't have to digitally do her face and have that weird, like uncanny valley look about her, like Grand Moff did in Rogue One.
Pretty good, yeah. There was a little bit of Grand Moff, but overall it was really good.
It was good, but you could tell it was definitely fake.
You could tell.
But with her, it looked real, but she had just weird lines that like she would say to other characters, and it just was like, that's really clunky and random. Like the scene you're talking about, like where she's talking to him, she's like, just be more positive. Like it just felt like weird. And then at one point,
it was funny though when he was like,
it was, yeah. And but at another point too, the most random one she has is never underestimate a droid, because like Rey said something about a droid or something, and it was like, I was like, what the heck? Why? What? And then later on, like Rey's in the sand speeder with everyone, and she's like, never underestimate a droid. And I was like, why are we using this line? Why is this a thing? Like, and like C-3PO, like, I don't know, did something wimpy, you know, and she was like, never underestimate a droid. It's like, why are we? Like, it was obviously like a line that she had said in some other context in The Force Awakens, and that they didn't use, and now it's just they're cramming into this. It was so cringy when I saw it. It was so cringy. I mean, I talked to my brothers too, and they're like, yeah, they picked up on it. Yeah. You didn't pick up on that though, huh? You didn't?
No, I didn't think about that. I do remember the line now. I do remember the line.
I don't know if it's because I was looking for her scenes to see how they fit, or to see if I recognize them. Maybe it's because I was like looking for it, is why I noticed it. But I mean, it felt like it was very obvious to me. But
I remember the line not really doing anything for me. I was just like,
never underestimate a droid. And later Rey's like, never underestimate a droid.
And everybody laughed like, no.
But
so,
all right. So tell me some things. Is there anything you didn't like about the movie?
Oh, I didn't like it. Yes.
Yeah. Go into those.
So like I said before, there's some continuity issues. Overall, well, I got over the one where like the Force connection thing. Like I think they were able to forge their own.
Yeah.
But my thing with Palpatine and having this gigantic like thousands of like Star Destroyers that can actually destroy planets. One, like it took it was so hard to build something that could destroy a planet before. And all of a sudden you can just build a Star Destroyer and they can all do it really easily. So that to me was kind of weird. That like he's more powerful than ever now. Like why couldn't he do this stuff before? I know you got to, for the movie's sake, you got to make like a pretty scary bad guy, and they did. It was pretty intimidating. But it was just like, well, like it's a pretty good backup plan. It's a pretty good backup plan you got. I don't know why you couldn't have done this earlier. And like, where are all these people coming from? Are these all like ex-Empire people, or like, you know? And he seems more powerful than ever at one point in this movie when he goes and he's like zapping every ship in the sky. My reasoning for that is like, maybe it's because he's actually on the Sith planet that he can like generate a lot more Sith power than it could like somewhere else, maybe.
I mean,
but it was kind of crazy.
So far I'm with you step for step with the complaints, and
okay.
I was like, it was just like, but I was even kind of mad that he was in the movie like alive, because that really belittles Anakin Skywalker bringing balance to the Force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I looked at him almost like a zombie. Yeah, and he wasn't really alive until he stole the life.
He was fun in the movie. Let me not diminish that at all. What they had with him, they knocked out of the park for sure. Yeah. But I still agreeing with you with those points. But even George Lucas, when I remember watching the special features, and I never, they always called Anakin the chosen one in the prequels. And I always thought, well, they messed up the prophecy and they meant Luke. He's the one that brings balance to the Force. But George Lucas says Anakin brings balance to the Force. He kills the Emperor and he kills himself. So he was the chosen one all along. It was just the way it unfolded wasn't really ideal for anyone.
Right. Qui-Gon couldn't see that.
Nope. So bringing him back kind of, was a big middle finger to everything with Anakin, his character, and how it turns out in Return of the Jedi. And then, like you said, like he has this whole army, and like before it was really intricate, and I loved how, and we discussed in the prequel how he turns this republic into a dictatorship. It was so clever how he does it step by step. They're the ones empowering him, not him seizing power. And then how he's holding power, he has the fear, but he doesn't really do a lot himself. He lets Vader do all the heavy lifting, even though you see he can use lightning, in the prequels and in this, he's a good lightsaber fighter. But in this, like you said, he's shocking ships out of the sky. And my brothers were like, yeah, but he drained power from Rey and Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo at this point. But I was like, well, then why wasn't he just using his drain power on everyone to make himself more and more powerful? You know what I mean? Why wasn't he using this drain power on everyone, on any Jedi? Why did he kill them? Why didn't he just keep them all in little tanks and just drain them like a battery? And so he can force lightning. Like he wouldn't even need to build a Death Star. You know what I mean?
By the way, I'm just going to jump back to the prequels real quick.
Yeah,
I read something that there was actually like an ancient Sith temple underneath the Jedi temple, like way underneath on Coruscant. Ooh. And that's why the Jedi were clouded on their vision of the Chancellor.
I just thought it was because the Chancellor was like gaining power, and that his dark side was like gaining power and blocking them. So I mean that's cool though too. I would like to have that explored, but I mean he was this character that was, although really powerful, that we saw with the Force and with his lightsaber, he really used his mind to do stuff. But in this, he just was like, super weapons on everything. You'll get a Star Destroyer. You'll get a Star Destroyer. He has all these followers. Like before, he had to, basically become the head of a government that willingly, wanted him. And now he's just got all these defaulted cult people. Yeah. And then it's like, so this is the final order with all these red Sith
final
troops.
Order, yeah.
So is the First Order gone? What happened? Like, did they just kind of gave up, or did they were like, all right, we've all got to paint our armor now? And
I think they became the Final Order. I think they joined because they had that one guy that was with Hux.
Yeah.
And he kind of when Hux died, he kind of took over. And I think he just had all his people go to the Final Order. Is the way I looked at it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see that. But then too, like he has all these. I don't know if it was him using the Force to lift all the Star Destroyers out of the ground. Remember when he was like, "You can have my fleet," and then he like raises his hands and they all come up. I was like, did he just use the Force to lift like 1,000 Star Destroyers? I was like, that's too much Force power. And I was like, all right, let's just pretend the ships are lifting themselves up. But then later on in the movie, you know, after he does do the drain and everything, he shocks all of the ships out of the sky, you know, like an EMP. And it's just like, and then then it kind of breaks the logic then too, when he's like shocking Rey and Rey's blocking this, that he shocked all these ships out of the sky. He just took out a whole fleet.
That goes back to my thing though, is I do feel like he could maybe sorcerer a little bit more power because he's on a Sith planet. He's in an ancient Sith place.
But then again, that's still, it just makes me question why he wasn't building everything around this Sith planet then in the first place.
To begin with, I know. No, I'm with you there.
Why didn't he, you know, it was just, it was cool what they did. And I really wanted to, in some Star Wars movie, see a super ultra powerful Sith Lord doing all these things. And I think Palpatine doing it.
I wanted to see a Sith planet like that.
I wanted to see a Sith planet for sure. But I just felt like him doing it and the way they did it, it just kind of throws into question the other movies as to why he didn't do it then, why he didn't do it that way, why he had to be so intricate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was fun to see though.
It was fun to see. What else did I not like about Rise of Skywalker? Well, we've already mentioned it's very jumpy.
Yes.
They try to pack in way too much into this movie. It should have been more than one movie. By the way, I heard it was supposed to be 3 hours, only like 2 hours, 20 minutes. But
yeah, I don't know if they did that just because the thing is people can sit through a 3-hour movie if it's good. Like people have sat through 2 Avengers movies that were, one of them was 3 hours long and one of them was pretty close to it.
You could have taken out a bunch of these side characters. I didn't need that female stormtrooper that was a former stormtrooper like Finn. I didn't need that.
And kind of belittled his character too to me. I was like, well, he was so unique before. Now you're saying all these people are doing it. I mean, like it makes sense, but like it kind of belittles like what his journey, what he's gone through to me.
The thing with, I mean, we did learn a little bit more about who Poe was, but like I didn't really care for that girl character.
Him at the end when he sees her and he's just like nods at her like, do you want to go do adult things together? And she's just like, no. And he's like, okay. I love that. I was like, that's Poe. Classic Poe.
Yeah, they made Poe awesome. Oh, you know what I liked?
Yeah, what?
When they go like they go through the quicksand and they're all in this cave together, and Rey like lights her lightsaber up, and then he like lights his flashlight up. Because that's a thing like we've all done with a flashlight.
Mm-hmm. Been like lightsaber.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Agreed.
But, so they go to this. It was interesting to see some different creatures and stuff. They go to this planet where they're having this festival, and that's where we find Lando. Cool to see Lando again.
Yeah. By the way, too, the unique thing about that is that scene was that I think 3PO says that event is only held like every 42 years or something to that effect, and it's apparently been 42 years since the original Star Wars has been released.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Or was it? Okay.
Because Star Wars A New Hope was originally released in 1977, so it's been 42 years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And but you said you saw Lando.
It's awesome. It was in Lando shows up. I thought Lando was pretty good in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I was so worried they were going to kill him off. I was like, please don't, JJ, please don't, please stop. You've subverted our expectations.
Yeah. I thought Billy D. Williams did a nice job. He had some good lines and stuff, and then I heard some people think that they're going to do a spinoff with him and that other black girl.
All right, so this
Because
is
he's
another
like,
thing.
because he's like, she's like, I don't know who I am, and he's like, well, let's find out. And I was just like,
And
really?
and the way he said it though
You
too
have-
was like, well, let's find out. Like
Yeah.
to me was like, I'm gonna seduce you. That's how I took it. I mean, I've got a
Lando.
dirty mind, but like
No,
I
but Lando's like that.
immediately my brothers looked at me like what's he doing?
I thought the same thing. Oh, yeah, but I'm
Is there
not
anything else you
interested.
didn't like about it then?
Oh, I didn't like. No, I think that's about it. Yeah, just a little bit like the continuity about the Emperor having that whole fleet already is my big thing. Was like, man, that's just a lot.
Yeah.
And just trying to pack so much into the movie. But made up for it because almost every scene was pretty awesome. There weren't many scenes I didn't like.
There was a lot of fan service in this, and a lot of sort of like apologizing for The Last Jedi in this, and I enjoyed the movie, but like you said, I had all those complaints, and then like you said, it was so like rushed. I mean, they go from the Last Jedi ends with Rey being so definitively good, like pure good. Like she clearly has a thing for Kylo Ren, but she doesn't even give in to him when he says, "Join me, let's rule together, let's get rid of the Sith, get rid of the Jedi. The one Jedi left has been a jerk to you, so let's do this together." And they've been talking the whole time, they've been bonding. She says no because she is so light side. Then all of a sudden in this, she's having all these dark feelings. She's having these dark visions. She has that dark vision of her and the double lightsaber. That way they could show it in the trailer.
Did you poop your pants when that happened?
Yes, I did.
Did
jump.
you poop your pants
I
when
did jump and poop my pants when she went around
had
the corner and
the big pointy teeth?
I did jump. I'm not gonna lie,
That
but
was creepy.
but and then like she used Force lightning, and I was like, what?
Blew my mind. And so let's set the scene for a second. The Knights of Ren come in, do what they do. They capture Chewie. We see him get onto a transport, and then we just see a transport in the air taking off, and someone yells, "They got Chewie!"
Yeah, Finn,
And Rey just immediately starts pulling it back,
which was sweet.
which that was awesome. She's just like trying to pull it back. Oh, by the way, let's not take away from her jumping over Kylo Ren's thing. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a Jedi do.
Yeah, I wish they
Run
didn't show it
away.
in the trailer.
I know. I wish they didn't show it in the trailer because I knew it was going to happen.
I knew what was going to happen.
So anyway, so she's pulling
holding
it back, and then Kylo Ren's like, "No, get it out of here." So he's trying to push it away. So they're having this tug of war with the thing, and she's starting to get mad and like, "Oh no, come on!" And then just some purple sparkles come out of her finger. Force lightning.
She's got
Rey, pure good-hearted Rey, just force lightninged the transport. And I'm like, that I did not see coming.
No.
I was like, JJ, he's like, JJ, you got me. You
And
got
it
me
was-
on that one.
It was sweet, and I was surprised, and
Yeah.
I was really scared that they just killed off Chewie, and I thought that was super cool,
like
but I was
Chewie
also
cannot
super
go out that way.
confused. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was literally sitting there, and I was like, I leaned over to my brother, and I was like, if he's dead, I'm gonna walk out of here.
There was a little part of me that there was a part of me that knew he wasn't dead somehow.
Me too. Yeah, there was a little part of
Somehow.
me. I was like, there's
But
no way
like-
they'd send him out like that. But they've also, I mean, they've been killing off our people we've loved. You know what I mean? They've been killing them off. So I was a little worried.
Yeah.
But the thing with that, though, is, like I said, though, like that darkness just didn't fit with what we saw in the last movie.
No.
I think in The Last Jedi, they should have been hinting at more darkness, more
Seen a little bit
temptation,
more-
and
yeah.
maybe that's why Luke didn't really want to train her, is the darkness. And he was still lighthearted. Maybe he tries to do something.
Well,
he gets captured, but like, Yeah, she goes to the
He does-
cave.
Yeah, he does say like you immediately went to the dark.
Yeah, but like I felt like they pretty much squashed her dark side potential by the end of The Last Jedi. So I think they should have set that up. I think they should have had, if they wanted her to use force lightning, maybe her accidentally use it in that one too. You know what I mean? Just so. But I mean, I was surprised and I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And I
so
wish
that was crazy.
I wish she did it again. I wish we would have saw her do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe even though she was like light side, maybe we could see her like force lightning, but holding the blue, lightsaber, like kind of just, being
Maybe she'll be in other stuff. It's possible.
Yeah, that is one thing my brothers were telling me, is that they are gonna ditch the trilogy format.
Yep.
And that they're gonna continue doing Star Wars stories with the new characters.
And that might be good, because I think without having like a trilogy you have to like kind of do the continuity with, you might just be able to make a really awesome one movie that's just awesome, and just focus on that one movie without worrying about tying it into another one or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can make a couple like that. I don't know.
I'm a little worried. about that. And
well, I don't think we have to worry about it anytime soon.
No. And I think the MCU is great, but I think now, since, I don't know if it's because Disney owns Star Wars, just like how they own Marvel, if they're the ones, saying that this has to be the new pathway, or maybe they were, maybe they recognize that The Last Jedi, really was divisive for fans, and it hurt how Solo performed. It hurt how this movie was going to be perceived and how they had to construct a story for it. So they were like, let's no longer narrow ourselves down to a trilogy where we'll get screwed and having to rush an ending. But I would rather they just had, someone like, for the MCU, Kevin Feige, he doesn't write and direct every movie, but he tells them what, how they need to get from A to Z.
Yeah.
For each setting. He's like, all right, now we need to get to Avengers, so we need, Thor to find this stone. We need Cap to deal with this stone. We need them to do this so they can get there. And then each director and writer sort of works into that. Right. But for this, and then George Lucas, for his old trilogy, he was obviously the guy with the whole story in his head. Like, he had already known the prequels. When he was doing the original trilogy, like, he already knew the backstory. Yeah. He knew the Clone Wars. He knew what Obi-Wan did. He knew what Anakin did, how he became Darth Vader. And so he knew, the A to B or the A to Z for that original trilogy. And then he did the prequels, which already has the ending. Yeah. So he knew exactly where to go. Yeah. But this one, it felt like no one knew where they were going. Yeah. And now I'm just worried that that's going to be like the same thing, because it's the same thing with the DC universe. Is no one? It's like, are we doing Justice League universe? Are we just going to keep making individual movies like Joker? And that's what I worry about Star Wars. Is like, are we just going to get like every now and then like an R-rated horror movie for Star Wars, and then the next thing we know, we're going to have, like some other like Jedi movie that ties Rey in, and it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. I worry about it.
Maybe they won't do another one with those characters. Who knows? But all I'm excited about is we're getting some Kenobi action.
Yes,
that's in another season of The Mandalorian. So
Mando 2 season 2
in fall of 2020. So that's awesome. So back to Rise of Skywalker. Babu. That's my dude. That's my dude.
Yes. Just, when I was watching the movie, I was like, that's Colby right there.
No. No.
That's you, man.
No.
That's you. I told you when we watched the trailer, I was like, that's you. When the little guy was laughing.
No. I was one of those guys dancing in the desert.
Yep.
No. No, first of all, that little Babu looked like he was high all the time. That's not me.
No, but he was just funny.
He was funny.
And different. He was like, haha, That's just you, man. That's how you do it all the time.
Babu.
Babu.
I like that.
I like the little droid too.
Yeah, that was J.J. Abrams.
That's yeah. You sent me that.
Yeah,
It was funny. It was like, no, don't do that.
I know.
No, thank you.
I don't know. Hello. No, that was good. He was good. And he actually, when I left the movie theater, I was like, why was he in the movie? And I was like, oh wait, he did have a role. I really liked how like they went and like there was the chamber room in the Emperor's chambers. There was that like room that held the Sith Finder, or the Wayfinder. And then she had the Vision in that room. It was cool. Pretty cool lightsaber duel on that planet on the wreckage of the Death Star. Not like what was cool about it, I think, was that it was raw and that they had Rey doing these crazy leaps and stuff.
Yeah, they were jumping.
Awesome. They were jumping, doing some cool
when
force
the waves
jumps.
are crashing down on Kylo Ren. He's just walking at her like the Terminator.
Yeah, that's cool. But at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, still the greatest lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars is Anakin Obi-Wan from Episode 3. I'm sorry, nothing beat.
I heard them saying that they were going to have the best lightsaber fight in this movie. They were advertising as that. And then when that lightsaber fight happened, I was like, that was pretty cool, but
it was pretty cool. Yeah,
there wasn't any cool music. There wasn't any like cool moves or anything, and they're both alive. And so I was like, is there going to be another lightsaber fight then? That's going to be the best one. I was like, and then like there wasn't, and I was like, that was the best one.
Yeah, no, wasn't cool. Good lightsaber fight, but not the best.
Did I hear John Williams thrashing the reins for that symphony? I did not. There wasn't any music playing during their fight.
That's how you know.
You know that when a lightsaber fight is good, that John Williams can't even control the orchestra in the back.
He just can't control it.
They're just like, hurrah! And he's like, come on. Shimmer down, everybody. Dun, 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 hurrah! He's like, okay, just go for it. In this one,
unlimited power. As he brings in the choir. That's great. John Williams makes Star Wars what it is. That's great.
Oh man. Unlimited power.
So what was probably one of the coolest things to happen in this movie. You ready?
Yeah.
What I think is one of the coolest things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that stayed with me was we've seen this Force connection grow and grow and grow. And we see it grow that like Kylo Ren actually reaches out and grabs a necklace Rey's wearing, figures out where she is through a Force vision that they're having. They're in two separate places. So like, okay, so they're starting to figure out like they can, they figured that out last movie, but
they can really interact with each other even more though.
They end up having a lightsaber duel in this thing, and we find out because there's this Force diode that like they can do this. They have this lightsaber duel. They knock the mask over. They figure out that Kylo Ren figures out that Rey's actually in his chambers, and then this was unreal when Rey is like about to face off with Palpatine, and Kylo Ren, he's now Ben Solo. He's now converted to Ben Solo. He's trying to fight off the Knights of Ren. And I don't know what she's doing. She brings the lightsaber behind her head. And Kylo Ren like has his hand behind his head. And he pulls out the lightsaber that she had because they figured out how to use this Force vision. And Kylo Ren does one of these. Like, you're all gonna die now. Like, like you guys had the edge. Now I got the lightsaber, and then he just kicks butt. That was probably the coolest thing. One of the coolest things that happened in the movie.
Yes, that was very sweet.
Did you like that?
Oh yeah. So there was like I said, there was a lot of things I felt like were rushed, and like you said, the continuity. but otherwise the fan scenes and the cool scenes still really were like, that was sweet.
That's what made the movie.
And when like I love probably, so my favorite character in this trilogy is probably Kylo Ren, because his journey is like the opposite of like Anakin Skywalker. And I love how like raw he is, and you know, the raw power, and it's and I like how you said he was very immature in the last one. In this one though, he's in control, he's the Terminator, he's kicking butt, he's doing what he needs to do. And that scene, the only complaint I have about that scene is like all of the Knights of Ren were other students from the Jedi Temple that Luke was training, you know, the ones he took with him that he used to kill the other students. So they should all be Force users, you know. They should all have lightsabers. They should all have all these other
and they should all be like Kylo Ren followers.
Yeah.
Like,
well, so I mean, I think because they had to rush this movie, they couldn't have done that. But that was one thing I remember. The Last Jedi, I was like stoked to see, because I was like, they're not Sith. They're not operating on Sith rules. There's not the rule of two that they can have all these guys with lightsabers doing fights and stuff. And so I was a little disappointed that they didn't have lightsabers or using the Force in this movie, because I think that could have been like some cool scenes. But I mean, it would have just ultimately really impeded the end of this movie if they just had to throw even more in, you know. So I mean, but that scene where she hands it off to him, I was like, that's sick, that's sweet, nice move. I liked how they were working as a team and all that. And I don't want to sound too corny, but like my girlfriend said the same thing. I really wanted him to stay alive, and I really wanted them to get together.
You wanted them,
yeah. And I know there's a lot of people.
I thought it was really well done how it ended, though. Like that he ended up sacrificing himself. They had their moment, and I was actually surprised when he fell backwards. I was like, oh wow, and then he fell back. I was like, oh. I
was like, can't she just give him a little bit more, you know? Or did she like suck the last bit out when she kissed him? She was like, you know, my pinky toe's a little numb. Thanks for that.
See ya.
Feels good. Actually, I've been having this wrist pain for a while now too. It was before any of this other injury happened, and I want to fix that.
Yeah. So it was cool how they had the whole Force healing aspect.
That's another thing.
Yeah. So I've heard some complaints. It's like, oh, why didn't Obi-Wan use the Force healing when Qui-Gon died? You know, like, well, maybe it's like an ancient power. Maybe it's something she learned from the text, or maybe it's something not all Jedi can do.
Again, I think that's something they should have explained or hit on, or at least showed maybe Luke doing. We've seen, you know, spoiler alert for Mandalorian, we've seen Baby Yoda doing it. Yeah. So I think they're trying to push that into the new, you know, power set of Jedi. Again,
I think in video games, like I've seen Force heal and things like that. So like,
I was just going to reference Knights of the Old Republic again. KOTOR, again, a power in that was Force heal for people who were Jedi. They had Force.
So
I
it
was
could be
like,
the thing where not all Jedi have the power.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want it in a movie or anything like that, but I was kind of like, wow, how did she get this? You know, where did this come from? They you know, they showed she was training and all that, but
I like how she at one point referenced the ancient text to like look up some information. Yeah, about the Sith Wayfinder. Like Luke wrote down like where he was looking for it.
Oh, okay.
It showed her like actually going to the books. I was like, oh, I like that they like included that. Another moment in the movie I liked was when Rey like is looking up at the stars and starts hearing the voices of the Jedi. And this might be a cheesy line, but she like gets up, right? She's like, you know, Palpatine's doing the lightning, and he is like, and you have this whole arena of Sith Lords, which is like super cool. Like the souls of these Sith Lords are watching this.
That whole planet and how they did it was sick.
awesome. And I mean, the tickets for that must have been crazy, outrageously expensive.
Who wants
you
to
got
see
these guys down in the box seats.
Palpatine
What would you do
soul
if there was just
giving
like,
to Rey tonight only?
what if there was just like a guy walking down like, "I got you peanuts, we got you Cracker Jacks," and they're just anyway. So Lord Sidious is like, "I am all of the Sith," and after she heard like all these voices, she heard Yoda, she heard Luke, she heard what's her name? Anakin. She heard Qui-Gon. She heard Obi-Wan. She heard Ahsoka. And another person from Rebels. Kanan? Is that it?
Kanan, maybe, or something?
It's Kanan or something?
I don't know.
Heard that voice. Also confirming that Ahsoka is dead, by the way. At the time of Rise of Skywalker. So she goes, so Palpatine's like, "I am all of the Sith," and she's like, "And I am all of the Jedi." And that was awesome. I might be kind of cheesy, but like, I kind of
I wanted that, but I wanted them to go a step further and to have them all as Force ghosts there.
Ooh,
that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I wanted so bad, and it was cool to hear their voice, but when I heard that Hayden Christensen was doing something for this movie, I was like, please be a Force ghost. Please. It would have been so cool to connect all the movies together. And just them all behind her then when she's doing that,
Sort of like in Harry Potter.
I was just going to say, just like Harry Potter after he turns the resurrection stone around a few times.
That, and also like in Goblet of Fire, like when he's like in that lock with Voldemort.
Oh yeah.
His mom and dad.
Their wands intertwined. Yeah.
But anyway, we can do Harry Potter episodes later.
Oh, we definitely will.
That was an awesome moment. I liked how there was like a ritualistic thing with the Sith, like, you need to strike me down, and like you're gonna get all my powers, and like I was like, that's cool.
It was cool. It was also kind of weird. It was like, then my soul will go into you, and then you will have all. And it was just kind of like, what? When did we do this?
Yeah.
It was still sick though to have that whole arena, and just it felt so like pure dark Sith. Like, it's stuff that I want to see. I wanted to see in Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And I hope they do more crazy dark Sith.
I think you could really get into that if you do like an Old Republic.
Yes, exactly.
Republic thing. So that's cool.
I want to see more multiple Sith fighting multiple Jedi. Like, that's what I want to see so bad in the movie.
Yes.
But don't you think though that when he was shocking her and she's blocking it, and some of it was hitting him, that he would cut the juice? Because this has happened before to him, man. Mace Windu did this to him, man, and he let it happen. He let his face get all charred up. You're like, don't you think he's learned by now?
What if Ben Solo came in? What if Ben Solo came in right when Rey was like turning it back, and Ben Solo's like, he must stand trial.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
Another thing I really liked about this movie, let's see what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's always wondered if Leia ever really trained as a Jedi. And when we find out in Rise of Skywalker, she did. And she had her own lightsaber, which was hidden away. And they have a scene where they CGI'd Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, like probably shortly after Episode 6. They looked pretty young.
Yeah.
And they were training, and like Leia was pretty good. She actually like beat Luke in that instance.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
I didn't like how easily she beat him.
No,
I mean, it sounds like I find fault in everything you're saying, but it was, yes, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to see her using the Force. I wanted to see her being a Jedi and stuff, because they hint on in the original trilogy that she's a Force user, that she has potential. She was feeling Luke, that he was okay. Like, I wanted to see some Jedi stuff.
Yes.
So then in The Last Jedi, when she does the Mary Poppins scene that you talk about, I thought we were going to get more of that movie, but they just put her on ice, so
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to see that. Yeah, she did do that. She was training Rey at the beginning too, so she must have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah, it was awesome.
so it was a cool scene, and to have her own lightsaber too. I thought that was
She's a
great
cool looking lightsaber.
Yeah, I think that was a really good way to honor Carrie Fisher too, to really honor her character as Leia, to show that she was important as well,
And then
and everything like that.
Yeah. So speaking of it was really awesome. Something I think all the fans, there was some fan satisfaction with that.
Oh yeah.
And then at the very end of the movie, they show Rey made her own lightsaber, which is one of the things I think you have to do to become a Jedi Knight. I think you're supposed to make your own lightsaber.
Yeah.
And she makes an awesome looking lightsaber. And it looks like it's made out of the parts of her staff that she's always had.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that? And she turns like
the top of it,
a dial, which was a really cool way to ignite a lightsaber, I thought.
Yeah.
And then it was a yellow. Yeah, and it was a yellow lightsaber.
Yeah. We've seen yellow in like the video games like Knights Republic, or even the Force Unleashed.
Yeah. What is it supposed to be? Like a protector or something, I think?
A sentinel.
Yes.
Is yellow. Yes. Blue is and this is, from it used to be considered Legends. When Disney took over Star Wars, there was already all this, like Knights of the Republic and all these other, non-canon things that they had to say were Star Wars Legends. That didn't happen. Yeah. But then it turns out that some of the Sith troopers in Sidious's battalion, they had different like names for whatever, legion they were in, and there was a legion that was the Revan Legion. So obviously Revan is a Sith Lord in this universe now. So pretty cool. So, but yeah, so in that, like in the Legends way, they said blue was for a guardian. That was like someone that was like willing to fight and protect, and yellow was like a sentinel. They were kind of more clever, think their way around problems and stuff. And then green was for a guardian, someone who, or not guardian, but counselor is what it was. Mm-hmm. And they were like better with the Force, like they were strong with Force powers and things like that. So she got the Sentinel one.
And purple was for badass motherfucker.
Amen. Yeah. It was cool to see then too. She at the end she has the vision of she sees the Force ghosts of Leia and Luke.
Yep.
Together, and she buries their lightsabers together.
Yeah.
And then someone
at Luke's home.
Yeah.
In Tatooine, on the Skywalker, at Owen Lars and the old ranch there.
The old dirt farm.
Yeah. So.
And then someone walks by and they're like, "What's your name?" Rey Skywalker.
Rey Skywalker. Did you like that?
Yeah, I did like that. I liked that a lot.
It was cool. I was just like, no, that's not your name.
You're lying.
Your name is Palpatine.
I thought that was cool.
Well, that's like being like the granddaughter of Hitler. So,
oh yeah, you
don't really want to go.
That. You definitely. Oh yeah, I'm Julia Hitler. Everyone, I like water polo, and I want to go to school to be a physical therapist. Oops. So, and I thought it was cool that because they killed off Ben Solo, even though his last name wasn't Skywalker, he was the only, Skywalker left, and they killed him off.
Blood, right?
So I was like,
killed him off. Yeah.
So the Skywalker, heritage has just died off. And then, so when she said that, I was like, thank you,
Rey. Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I'm mad because I knew what she was going to say, because I saw a post that said J.J. Abrams revealed that the last word in Rise of Skywalker will be Skywalker. And so when they got to that scene and she was like, Rey, I was like, oh, this is the end of the movie. This is the last line right here.
I honestly, I didn't. I mean, as soon as they asked her what her name was, I knew what she was going to say, but I didn't like foresee her changing her name at any point. So I like that they did that.
Yeah, it was cool. I think the reveal that she was Palpatine was a little bit anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could have been better.
He's like, she's my granddaughter. Or no, wait. Kylo told her.
I think Kylo told her on the ship or something.
Yeah, it was
she
very
jumped out of the
rushed.
hangar.
It was very rushed.
She jumped out of the hangar, dude.
That was sweet.
By the way, real space rules don't apply in Star Wars, by the way.
Nope. There's no sound in space.
There shouldn't be sound in space.
So you wouldn't hear any space.
Any of the pew, pew.
There wouldn't be anything.
Or the
Just be a bunch of ships just
yeah,
blowing up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't heard anything when the Death Star blew up. It would have just been, you know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been cool.
No. And those bombs that they drop, which, by the way, those are the most stupid designed ships in The Last Jedi, the beginning of Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, we're getting back to.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Of course. And the bombers are so slow. And that's one thing I was like.
So slow.
They were like, oh, they're too heavy or something. And it was like, they're in space. There is no weight. There is zero weight in space.
And then they shouldn't have dropped out then. They shouldn't be able to drop those things. So
it's like, just get like a small ship and drop one little bomb, you know?
Yeah.
It made no sense. And that's another thing too, why they couldn't catch up to the resistance ship in front of them in The Last Jedi. They're like, it's a smaller, lighter, faster ship. It was like, its size doesn't help it move any faster. That's why when you watch the original trilogy, the Death Stars could keep up with the Falcon. It was just the only way the Falcon
Star
lost
Destroyers?
them. Yeah, the Star Destroyers couldn't keep
the
up.
asteroid field.
He lost them in the asteroid field. Or he did, he was so small that he could maneuver, in different pathways that they couldn't see, but they were catching up to him the whole time because they're in space. Even though they're huge, there's no air resistance on them. There's no friction. There's nothing they have to move through,
Yeah.
But the bombers are slow. The resistance fighters are.
Another thing that Rise of Skywalker did, by the way.
Yeah.
It pulled a straight Avengers Endgame.
I was going to say this. Yeah. So
on your left, Cap on your left.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's just Lando and a million other ships.
Yeah. So Poe's like facing down Thanos, and he's like, I don't know if we're gonna win, guys. And then Lando's like,
Lando's voice, yeah.
Hey, Cap, on your left. And
yeah. But Lando really did say something, though. What did he say?
He said, hey, kid, and I don't know. But I was immediately thinking Avengers Endgame. And then he pops out with the Falcon, and then everyone else comes out. All the other superheroes come out of the portal. And
it's so Avengers Endgame. It's not even.
They didn't even try to hide it.
No.
It was such a ripoff. I mean, like they had to find some way to win against this.
It was cool.
Ridiculous army. And again, I won't beat a horse to death, but every Star Destroyer had a Death Star weapon. Like that's the only thing we can imagine being a threat in the Star Wars world. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that I do like about the Last Jedi is that they, even though that one cannon thing, they say that's the Death Star cannon thing.
Yeah, but it's just a tool to.
But it's not like in that movie that they're like, there's another Death Star we have to worry about. But so
we have 1,000 Death Stars. I was just like, nothing has that fire. Where'd that firepower come from? That's ridiculous. Like in Episode 7, they had to drain a star to blow up the planets.
Yeah.
You kidding me? It took them forever to build the Death Star.
Mm-hmm. I get, technology improves every year. Like it should.
Was this some kind of like Sith power or something I was doing? I don't get it. I don't get why they could just.
His fleet alone should have just been enough. They should have just been a giant fleet. even that would be kind of like, well, how do you get that? But then a giant fleet, all of them with weapons able to blow up a planet. It was just like, come on, just back off a little bit,
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's just get some final thoughts, then, about this trilogy. Then we've been here a little bit longer than normal. We've really had it. There's a lot though to unpack. In these
my God.
Because I think these ones really have a lot more conflicting, strong, thoughts in them. But so let's get in some questions we've talked about before. What was your favorite lightsaber fight from this trilogy? Just this trilogy. We'll probably do another episode where
just this trilogy. Yeah, we'll rank all of them.
The saga as a whole.
Probably either the one, it was in this movie, it was in Rise of Skywalker, but either the one with them fighting through the portal thing, even though it was kind of confusing, like, because I was like, wait, can they kill each other through this?
Yeah,
wait.
That's what I was.
I was like, so maybe the one on the old wreckage of the Death Star then, and that's not even like, I mean, it was a good fight, but like compared to like the prequels, man, like no way.
Not even close.
Maybe not even top 5.
No.
I don't know. Can I count? Like, I wish it was more of a lightsaber fight, but I really liked when Rey passed him a lightsaber. But that wasn't a lightsaber duel.
Yeah, I'm specifically asking
lightsaber duel.
Lightsaber duel. We could get into your favorite moment if you want to, too. But lightsaber duel.
Lightsaber duel. I'm going with the Death Star wreckage because it doesn't have a lot of competition.
Exactly. That's probably my favorite as well. And then after that would probably be the one from Force Awakens. Even though it's not amazing, it was still
slim pickings.
It was fun.
Slim pickings.
And he never once let John Williams just unleash his symphony, during any of these battles, even from the Force Awakens
battle. No, yeah,
he never let him just. And you know what? I really. Oh man, ticks me off.
I'm scared. What?
Is,
okay, hold on.
Is the trailers for this movie? They use it's either Battle of the Heroes or
they
Duel
use
of the Fates.
They use Duel of Fates in it.
They use Duel of the Fates for a couple TV trailers for the movie.
Yeah,
and
I've
I was
seen
like,
some good memes.
That better be. And the fight then that you say is going to be the best fight ever.
Don't put that in there if you're not going to give us.
That better be at least part of the music that plays. It wasn't in there at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little. They had John Williams locked up the whole time in this movie.
He was like, I'm just so mad.
Just trying to conduct. And they were just like, they were just
John
like, hold him
Williams
down, boys. Don't let him conduct.
John Williams actually in the movie.
Is he?
The bartender. He's that one bartender with the eye patch.
Oh, sweet. I did not know that.
Oh, and the guy who plays R2-D2, do you remember the scene with the Ewoks?
Mm-hmm.
That was him and his son.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. So let me add another thing I hate about this movie. Ewoks made in this movie. Colby, I hated it.
What was your favorite moment in the sequel trilogy?
I guess by itself, not considering that he dies afterwards and that he was a jerk all the times before, and that it was kind of belittled by the fact that it was a vision. But when Luke Skywalker walks out onto that battlefield, that's awesome. Probably my favorite. Even when I was watching it today, it still got me like pumped up. I was like, I'll fight the resistance. I'll do whatever you want, Mr. Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's pretty awesome.
And you?
Okay. Mm-hmm. It might be pretty generic, but probably when she's like, I am all the Jedi. Because that's just like, but that whole moment when like they were all talking to her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that is awesome.
That was awesome.
Either that or when she passes the lightsaber, because that pumped me up.
That was really cool. And then when she passes him the lightsaber was awesome. Yeah. And then probably after that would be Yoda and Luke.
Yeah.
And then probably after that would be Harrison Ford and Chewie. Just everything that they had together in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts then? Are you satisfied with the trilogy as a whole, or what do you think?
Yes. Just barely though.
Same.
I think that they started with something with so much potential, and I don't think they ever lived completely up to that potential. But I think J.J. Abrams did a good job salvaging The Last Jedi, doing with Rise of Skywalker, and I really think he did the best job that he could have done on it. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to stand on it. We got some cool characters. We had some cool, some interesting things to think about. I still would have liked to know more about Snoke,
Yeah.
But
if someone was a new Star Wars fan, they loved 1 through 6, would you recommend this to them?
Yeah, I think you got to watch it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we were talking about the characters. Who was your favorite character then from the sequel trilogy?
Really? Who do you think?
Babu.
Yeah, well, no. Besides Babu.
I don't know. Was it the squid monster from The Force Awakens? The squid monster thing?
Come on.
Is it
a Skywalker? No, it's Rey.
I figured it. By the way, I like Rey too. Yeah.
Love Rey. I don't like Rey. I love Rey.
And
I don't know if you heard me.
You love Rey.
I love Rey.
She was good, and I wasn't trying to knock on her.
I love more than Rey.
Who, me?
No, dark side, pointy teeth Rey.
Of course. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about her was she was just a little too overpowered in the second one for, after not getting any training.
Yeah, that wasn't her fault though.
Yeah, there's a lot of some fanboys that are mad saying, well, why are they making her so powerful? She's a girl. But, if I had a daughter or, trying to get my girlfriend into it, I'm glad they had a female lead in the movies. Great. Yeah. And, not trying to stand on any soapbox or anything. Luke's my favorite of all time, but.
Was he your favorite in this trilogy?
I mean, parts of him, if I could cut out parts from the rest and pretend that they were like the end of The Force Awakens to.
But you can't, Steve.
So no, he's not my favorite in this. Kylo Ren's my favorite in this trilogy.
Yep. I think you said that earlier.
Yeah. Just
Kylo Ren, I love just his character in general. The conflict,
the temptation of the light, him, wanting Rey, in their relationship, and ultimately how he redeems her, and his parents are Ben Solo and Leia, so I mean that was pretty. He's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And I mean, ultimately, the trilogy started out strong, like you said. I felt the same way. It had so much potential to. I think it had the potential to be the best trilogy. I think it honestly could have. And some people it is their favorite.
Yeah, I think mine are still the prequels.
It's I'm a toss up between original and prequel. Just because like I said, Luke's my favorite, but
Luke's in the prequels.
Yeah, he's in it. He's the baby that kills his mommy.
He's in the prequels, maybe as much as he's in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
We didn't reenact that scene though. Maybe we should.
We should. I reenact that scene all the time. Mama.
But I'm ultimately, by the skin of my teeth, satisfied or not satisfied, but at least not disappointed with the sequel trilogy. I think they could have done way better. And I like there was a lot of ideas that were really good if they could have executed better. Like I said, it might have been the best trilogy if they executed.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we've been cranking out Star Wars here. So if you've been making it through all of our Star Wars episodes, you you should, because they're good.
They're awesome.
They're awesome.
They're the best.
And if you made it all the way through this one, good on you.
Yeah, good job. I just got one question.
Yes.
For one person. Alexander Draymond. If you like Star Wars, man, do you want to come on and talk to us about it? Because we'll do it all over again. Just come on the show.
We'll do it all in one sitting.
Yes.
We'll do the full.
You let us know when you want to come on the show.
7 hours of talking in one sitting.
Anytime. We'll talk about whatever you want. We don't have to talk about Star Wars. We don't have to talk about Last Kingdom. But come on the show.
Yes. And I think since this is our last of the Star Wars Saga episode, I think we should...
The Skywalker Saga. Because we're about to do Mandalorian, don't forget.
Oh, yes. We give a big shout out to anyone from Star Wars, too, if you want to come on, talk to us.
Except for Rose.
Except for the actress who played Rose.
Except for the actress who plays Rose.
Anyone else, please. Even if you just played the Gonk droid in the original trilogy.
Not Rose.
Not Rose, though, please and thank you. But yeah, you can be on too. Whatever you want. If you want to talk Star Trek with us, I've only seen Next Gen. Colby hasn't seen anything. But
tell us about it.
But we could do it. We could do something.
All right.
But so yeah, it's pretty much the end of our episode. We've already talked about some things we've been watching. I think we should try and prod our listeners though with some other things though to watch. Is there anything recently you've watched that you've liked and recommend, or?
Well, for anything?
Yeah, anything. Shows, movies.
Mandalorian is a huge. You got to watch. What else have I been watching? Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Watch Rick and Morty.
New season is out for that.
Is that an interesting show called Atypical that I watched with my girlfriend? It was actually a pretty touching show. Kind of funny. It's about a family. They have a son who is on the autism spectrum, and it kind of follows him and the way he deals with high school and going into college, and then it deals with the family and how they live their life with the child who's living with being on the spectrum. But it's also it's funny too. Like the guy who plays the main character, the son, is pretty funny, and but it's also very touching. And it was a good watch. It was a good quick watch. Another big one I'm watching right now, really funny. What We Do in the Shadows. Now I know I introduced you to the movie. What We Do in the Shadows is this vampire. It's like The Office, except with the vampires, and these vampires share a flat, and they just are trying to live their life, and it just kind of documents them living their life. So Taika Waititi, who has directed a lot of things, or a few things that we really like, including Thor Ragnarok, and I Saw Jojo Rabbit, which was really good. He directs What We Do in the Shadows TV show, along with Jermaine Clement, who is he was in Moana. He had another show.
But the show's good though. You're watching the show.
The show's pretty good. I like it. It's like the same kind of humor. Okay, so I recommend that on Hulu, and I recommend The Last Kingdom.
Oh yeah, always. Last Kingdom on Netflix for sure.
Oh, and The Witcher. Yeah, so some other recent things I've watched. Knives Out, even though it's by Rian Johnson, it's pretty solid. If you want to watch like a little mystery movie with a lot of good actors in it, I'd go watch that. I watched Ford versus Ferrari. It was a solid movie. I have no like immediate desire to see it again, but I think it's a good movie to watch. It's a cool true story, and it was really fun. And
Right now I'm watching The Witcher on Netflix, and only 3 episodes in, but it's pretty good. And Mandalorian too. Yeah, check all those things out.
Just finish that. Check that. We're gonna cover Mandalorian real soon. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah. So thank you for listening through. If you've listened to all of our Star Wars talk, and thank you. We tried to get, we're big Star Wars fans, so we try to get these all done since the movies are coming out. And but yeah, where can they find us then, Colby, when after they're listening, if they're listening to us?
if you're listening to us, we're going to be on YouTube. You can watch our full videos there. We're going to get the Instagram going. We actually already got it going, I think, right?
Yeah, we have that going.
Facebook, Twitter, you name it.
Yeah,
and then we should be on all most podcasting apps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll update, in Instagram or the Twitter or whatever, where we're putting the videos up. But at the time we're making this, it looks like it's probably going to be Podbean, but that should be on any sort of podcast catcher. That should be available.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Alexander Draymond, get on the show. Otherwise, that's all from Colby and Steve. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Screen Chronicles.
The Screen Chronicles.
Bye.
Bye.